Check this out. Now we only have to do one of these pit maneuvers. Right here, motherfucker. You fucking accused. Oh! Every fucking time, fam. We're here in my parking lot. Oh, God! Fuck off! Okay. Sorry, I had a bit of a moment. Speaking of divas. God. Help a poor orphan brush his teeth. Also, I got this. Chat, it's on its way. My teeth will be white. And it won't be inbred. So, I mean, today was supposed to be the day I was going to bang out the 3 staircases, the rest of the walkway, whatever the roof fell onto the ground, and that back walkway, and I was even going to do the front sections. I get there, and there's the guy that probably hid the shovel there. You know what I'm saying? But the shovel was fixed, which was cool. So I'm like, he must really need the money. You know what I'm saying? He must be struggling with his house payments. Right? That guy needs money to live in the box, so I don't necessarily need the money. Because I'm at like 6 or 7 hours I haven't cashed out yet. And it will snow tonight. So I figure he's like, worst case scenario, he's like, I'm going to take his fucking money. I know he needs it. I know he really needs it. Look at this. Huh? You really thought I wouldn't? You really thought I wouldn't go buy a $5 light from Walmart? Joke's on you. It's twist to adjust, and it's hyper tough like me. Happy Sunday! It's Sunday, everybody, and I got some cream. I got some fucking wild cherry and cream. And you know what? It fucking tastes disgusting. It tastes like the top of ale. It tastes like the fizz at the top of the ale. This wild cherry cream's fucking disgusting. I fucking hate it. It's like the top of the beer that you wipe off the top of the brim so you can drink and carry it around. And they just scooped it all there with a little bit of food dye. It's disgusting. But check it out. You're like, what's this angle? I made an investment, guys. I went to Walmart and bought a tripod. And I bought a light, guys. I bought a light and a tripod. And then I went to go work today and there was someone shoveling. I was like, you need the money that bad, man? You're trying to steal my money? It's that bad? You need to take my money, man? Okay. Do you? So I banged out that other driveway. I made that walkway nice. And then I was like, if he wants to keep doing it, all the tools were over here. he left the shovel and the push shovel. I'm like, he must really need the money because he's working with the other shovel. You're working about 3 times slower. Smoke a fat blunt in your car? No, but you know what? Somebody gave me an Aquarius grape geek bar, and they also gave me a Scorpio geek bar. And I've got Meta Moon somewhere, but right here, and then I have Blue Raz Ice somewhere. And I've got the Holy Grail right here. I thought I quit cigarettes, and I did quit cigarettes, but I found one last one. What's up, Snake Plissken? Snape Liskeen? I just smell it and I'm like, oh, the good old days. Back when I would smoke cigarettes. And I didn't feel like a robot after. I just felt heartburn. I bought a new tripod, man. That's why it's not falling over anymore. I'm not going to touch it because it's going to fall over. But I also got this light from Walmart. And he was like, are you traveling? Which was like, are you homeless? are you living in the car, man? And I said, well, you know what? Well, I said, really, I'm thinking about going to Montana, and no one really knows what's up in rural Canada, up way up north. So thinking about getting a protection dog and a firearm and going out there. I'm just looking for something to write my TV shows in my notebook. So that was pretty cool. I haven't done the math. I know this car, $40 fills the tank, 20 miles per gallon. I'm assuming it's a 10-gallon tank, right? Maybe 15-gallon tank. Probably 10-gallon tank. It's an SUV. I don't know what I'm talking about with it, but I know that $40 fills up the tank. Bro, is that a wig? Someone says. What's up? Can you explain to me what these the red background is for? I see a lot of people with red backgrounds with black foregrounds on their channel logos lately. Can you tell me what that's about? Huh? Murder? What about murder? What about murder? Would probably happen to me if I went up to rural Canada. I want to see the ice wall, man. I want to go see a polar bear before they die. Polar bears will probably go extinct in our life. Dim red rooms, temper shock. You talking about Asian prostitutes? Because joke's on you. You look on Facebook and you see that there's some Asian girls in villages with these fat asses, and you know what? God told me in a dream the other night, those are prosthetics you can buy on Amazon. Those asses are an illusion, brother. They're not real. You look at these women in some village made of sticks and mud out in the rainforest of Southeast Asia, and you're like, man, I should go out there. That's why I see now why they bring back these Asian women from villages. And then I went to bed, and then God showed me the fat ass in the dream, and then he showed me pull the dress off, and it's prosthetic you buy on Amazon. It's not real, Casey. Wake up. It was fucking I don't know what a lib is, but I saw a meme today that was George Washington if he was born nowadays, and it was saying, don't get in the way of the redcoats. People who don't worship the colonies must be retards. By God, do you mean Archon? I don't know. I definitely feel like ever since I got this neck tattoo, I've had this inescapable demonic thing always barking at me all the time. And when I fight back against it, the birds love it, and then people around me get angry. And I'm like, man, it must be like this giant systematic AI that's controlling everybody. Risk, you're flipping adorable. Tee-hee. Who's Risk? Polar bear making massive comeback. Polar bear are colonizing grizzly bears right now. And it has nothing to do with color, because polar bears originated in Ireland. Polar bears are Irish, and then they became Inuit. And you know what? I can relate. I haven't had sex in 5 years, Jesse James says. All you got to do is like lose weight, buy a penis pump, look up the salt trick. Look up the salt trick that strippers use to have hard-ons for hours, and then just go walk around a shady place. And you know what? You'll have a fun night, bro. I'm not saying creep on anyone, but I'm saying it's not that difficult. Also, Casey, you have a big, beauteous hair, and you're an absolute badass. Okay, don't ever forget it. Thank you, man, or woman, whatever you are. Live Sway. It feels like this Sway has the answers. I'm actually ripped. I'm just disgusted with women my age. How old are you, bro? I am also disgusted by women. I'm not gonna lie. You vile bleeding creatures. Get away from my little boy heart. You can't have it. It's mine. I need it to hide in my car and pretend that I'm a bear in a den. You know what I'm saying? Leave me alone, you Jezebel harlot. I can feel you over there looking at me through the window like, I wish that guy would just come up here. Leave me alone. And why do you have an accent? I live in New England. Me too, guys, people in general. You're 33? Whoa. He-Man Woman Haters Club. Nice one, Goon Dad. That's great, man. Do you ever just feel, you ever regret being the Jewish cattle? I guess you are 28. No, I'm a few years younger. The Joe, what up? The Joe said hi. The last 3 women that I hooked up with cheated on their boyfriends with me. You know, the last 3 women I hooked up with were just leaving their relationships, and I was the rebound. I'm trying to get the saxophone from, but it was this old woman on Marketplace selling a saxophone for free. I was like, I could really use this. She says, message my sister. She lives, it's her listing. She doesn't have Facebook. So I email her sister. And her sister's like, I can clearly tell how much you appreciate the arts and how it's a part of your everyday life. I would love to give this to you, but it was going to cost you $150 to get it from Nevada. And I'm like, I trust you, but I'm going to wait until I can afford to lose $150 to a scammer trying to get this cool saxophone with a legendary story. Yeah, but for real, I went to work today and someone was doing my job, and I was like, you make like a lot of money, bro. What are you doing? He must have had like a fight with his wife or something. So I was like, he must need the money for something, so I'll leave him to it. And then I checked on him again, and he was just really slow doing it. I was like, something's up with him. I was like, maybe I'll give him a Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream soda. But then I was like, he just cost me like $150. That was my birth certificate money, man. Homeless with the neck tattoo, LOL. There's nothing wrong with not paying rent, man. I know all of you hate it. You guys either got a good opportunity and you're living comfortably, or you hate it. And yeah, I think I'm probably closer to becoming a millionaire than you guys. You know what I'm saying? I'm absolutely fucking broke. I have nothing. But in my heart, it's nice. It's nice. And you can't take it from me. If I had a home and I was in the social matrix and everything, all they do is just try to dominate each other. They get pissed because you can't take what's in my heart. Because it's not part of the world, man. You got to earn it, and it takes years. And you have to be out there alone in the cold with nothing in a faraway land. And you have to be forced to meet your creator, which is yourself. You got to be forced to integrate your true self, and that will create challenges like, look up Casey gets violently attacked while connecting to God. That video, it was like a couple months ago, where I just showed you that I can connect to nature in real time, and the birds will start to come to me, and then immediately some guy runs at me and he's like trapped and like demonic and whatever and trying to get me. Hope what's in your heat makes your belly full and keeps you warm. Yeah, actually. Because when I lived in an apartment, I was always cold and I would wake up with sleep paralysis. But out here, even in like negative degrees, I wake up warm and happy. Like, you never know true freedom. Trying to be in society, it doesn't work because it's an illusion made by a Saturnian cult that built religion to separate and conquer in the age of Pisces. And they created white people as cattle, inbred cave monkey slaves, and then they select bred them to be weak, dickless, power hungry psychos, and then they let them loose on the world. But part of that meant that along the way, Irish, Native, and African people would be having a great time. And now the thing that, they do try to take credit for everything. White people do try to take credit for everything, but if you look at like the essence of every single genre, anything to do with art, It all stems from the natives. It stems from nature. It's okay, I call you Twinkie. I'm sure you are also. I don't know what that means, but too far. That's a fucking weird ass comment. I'll never see you again. What's happening to this country? Why is ICE killing innocent people? Well, that's Masonic theater to divide the white people into separate groups and have them just attack each other all the time, instead of making use of 111 on the January 2026. Instead of the Fire Horse 11, which is very powerful, they have it wasting. You're wasting your energy being as a, and you already don't have a lot because you were bred to be genetically deficient as a white person. So they waste whatever you could have had, and they just use you to keep furthering their manifestation rituals. There's like hordes of hundreds of Jewish people that just like take to the streets, and they all look like they're fucking panicking. It's so weird. What the fuck is going on, dude? I see these videos of like some random ass city, and there's like 400 Jewish people emerging from some like building, and they're all like panicking, moving really quickly, moving across town. And there's a bunch of black people like, "What are you doing?" Bro, what are you doing? What is going on? It's a bunch of like Hasidic Jews in full garb, and they're like militantly walking down the street, and they look scared. Like, what the fuck is happening? Did you just do a massive demonic ritual to get connected to the Antichrist, and now you're trying to spread it across and get back to your homes where you could continue doing your rituals to spread your influence into your apartment buildings? Is that why you need white people to fill them up? Because you hide in the top and you control all of them remotely through the astral? And then you all get together and rape children to bring in these demonic entities through trauma and give them vessels, and then the influence that comes from that attaches to you, and you try to get it back to your dwelling as quick as possible. That's cool. How to break free from the matrix, quit your job, leave your apartment, and go back out. And be brave enough to be in a war zone, and understand that that war zone is about mental clarity and peace. Devote your time to daydreaming and learn boundaries out there. Learn how to be humble through suffering. And then you just go out and make everything not a big deal and enjoy the gift of life. And then you will set an example which will cause people to be jealous and envious, and they will continue to be possessed with envy and greed, and they will go out and do impulsive things that they think is right, but it's really to the detriment of people like us. And then you just kind of wave it off and continue having fun, and then slowly people might come around, but at the very least, in those attacks that come at you, usually there's some type of blessing afterwards. You know, your face is perfectly androgynous. One of my exes told me I'm God's gift to bisexual women, because I'm the straightest man she knows. But it's like spiritually, I'm like not trapped. Youngster cooking. Yup. We're here to build the new world, guys. It's here. And it's out in the woods. The new world is not leasable. It's not contractable. It's right now it's buried inside of the Capricorn Society, but it's festering. The flame is building, guys. And pretty soon we're just gonna blow the lid off this shit. But you can't be lazy, man. I'm trying my best. I've been like beaten my whole life. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, yesterday, I need to go take a shower. I'm gonna go. I don't have a lot of gas. I don't have a lot of money. But I know if I go to that shower, I'm gonna feel better. And when I get back, I will have broken free from all this bullshit. And I'll be able to feel good enough to bang out like 6 or 7 hours of work. I drive all the way there. I even put it on Google Maps, and it said it's closed. And I'm like, it shouldn't be closed. It's Wednesday. And then I get all the way there, and I get there, and I'm like, it's fucking Saturday. It's fucking Saturday, and I drove 30 minutes. So I drove back, and then God is like, go live. So I went live to talk about ICE and law enforcement and drama and all this bullshit with like that really dramatized murder of a woman doing basically nothing, not putting anybody actually in danger, and he fucking killed her. And then as I'm talking about it, an actual drug raid takes place on the highway next to me. An actual drug mule carrying probably 200 to 300 pounds of heroin is driving through, and the cops are behind him, and you can see them trying to figure out. You have the decoy car with the light sending the signals to one of these 6 different cars, and the cop has placed himself in the middle of the 6 cars, and he's trying to figure out which one's got the drugs. And I was like, that's what they should be doing, instead of bitching about whatever this is, creating a bunch of propaganda to weaponize the lemmings at each other on Facebook to continue stimulating their AI, wasting our water, and draining you of all your life force energy and pissy arguments. And it's mainly just the biggest fat white losers you've ever seen in your entire life, just sitting there feeling like they matter for a little bit longer by just repeating points that make no sense. Like, you clearly see the video of the woman backing up. Why did she back? If she wanted to hit them, she just goes right into drive and rams them and leaves. She backs up. I don't want to hurt you. She turns the full car, full turn. The cop who has already tried to kill somebody by exploiting the loophole that if you stand in front of the car and it drives, you can pretend to be fearing for your life and kill them. You see him clearly as she backs up. He gets in the way to kill her. Bro. And I'm like, there's some shit going on that, you know, every beautiful woman I've ever met had sexual abuse in her family. And you're worried about this woman on the road, bro. Just tell her, hey, I'm sorry that it's got to be this way, but if you would like, why don't you come with your cameras rolling and you can see an ICE operation and you can meet the guy that we're going after. But also, you're like, ICE is doing blah, 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 blah. I've seen tons of videos of ICE just like going up to a 14-year-old girl that was a little bit darker than white and just harassing the fuck out of her, following her into a Planet Fitness, following her into the locker room, and she's an American citizen. Like, they're doing that shit too, and they don't talk about that. They don't talk about that they go out and they're like assigned to be domestic terrorists. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get in the way. He absolutely got in the way. He sees that his officers are going over here and he fucking walks in front of the car. He's law enforcement. He's trained to get the fuck out of the front of the car. He tried to get in front of another car to pull out his gun and kill somebody. And the guy saw him with his gun drawn in front of the car and then rammed him and dragged him 300 feet. He's exploiting a loophole in Minnesota to kill someone. No, she backed up and turned into her. I love ice. We need more ice. I love it in my coffee. I love it in my cream. I love it. Yeah, it's just fat white losers, man. Old inbred lemmings for the Jesuit order. The Saturn worshipping, Baal worshipping cult. Moloch worshipping pagan cult that built religion to separate, divide, and conquer. So it's unfortunate you guys have the gift of life and you waste it like this. I told everybody I was going to do White Week because we're in Capricorn. So if the devil worshiping cult built whites as a select bred vessels for the mind flayer, you're going to see the white people blow up on Capricorn months because they're their slaves. It sucks, but there's really no way you can teach them the alternative perspective. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna actually... My pens are here. I was going to, if I can reach my notebook, but it's buried in here. I was gonna get out the old notepad and write down everything that they say so that we can go, okay, you think that you have an independent, critical thinking, individual mind, and you're not just a lemming. And then we'll go through your comments and be like, this is the 3 things that white people say because you don't have something. You're missing something. And it was select bred for you to be that way through institutions. You think you're on the winning team. You bitch about society, knowing that society doesn't give a fuck about you. You do nothing for your community. Then you just say the same three things. Have you ever been punched in your face? Real question. Yeah, bro. I've been homeless since I was 13. I've picked I mean, a cool story. I would say that this one's pretty cool. I went to go visit my dad, and my dad was staying at this place, and I got him a couple cats, but he fell asleep on his desk chair. So he's like asleep there, and I took a stick and I was poking him through the window like, "Wake up, dad. Wake up." And he thought it was really funny. But one time he like locked his key in the motel or something. So I go in, open it, go up, no problems. But I'm walking around and talking to people. I offered people some fireworks. And I was like, people were like, they liked me. So there's this really fat old guy, white, that sits in his apartment. And eventually he just like barrels out of the door, runs around the back, and he's screaming in my face. And he's like barely speaking English. He's like telling me it's not cool that I'm poking my dad through the window and like just really getting in my business. And I'm like, it's not my fault that you made bad life choices and you feel bad about yourself. Whatever's got you mad has nothing to do with me. Why don't you get the fuck back in your apartment and leave us the fuck alone? And he just like, I'm about to, and I'm like, fucking do it. His fat wife is standing right there, staring at me, bitching at me like Facebook comments. And I'm like, can't you see that I've done nothing? And that this is all something that you have a problem with? Is it my tattoo? Is it the Dodge Magnum I drive? Is it my Tim boots? What is it? And he's just getting more and more mad. And eventually he grabs me and I just stand there. And even though he's not twice my size, but he's like 6 inches taller than me, huge. And he's really trying his hardest. And I can just hold him back. And the guy doesn't know what to do. Because I've been in a lot of fights. He's immediately aware that I have complete control of the situation. And if he swings or does anything other than back the fuck up, I'm going to floor him. So I go, and I go, yeah, keep walking. And he's like, let's go around the corner. And I was like, why? Because you're a pussy? You already assaulted me. You don't have to worry about doing something around the corner. Just do it. And then as I'm holding him, his wife is screaming at me, stop hurting him, like trying to make it seem like I'm assaulting him. Like, do you see me doing anything? So he immediately does the whitest thing he can do, which was to go tell mom. So he goes to the manager of the motel and was like, he came in, bullshitting. And I think my dad got kicked out because of it. I was like, what the fuck? So I'm going to sit with the rest of the people there because I'm about to leave. I only come like once a year to visit. And his wife goes, actually, that's the first time in my life I've ever seen somebody with that strength and restraint. It takes a lot to be able to have that level of restraint, basically, in her own words. And then I look up and he's just staring at me through the window. And I was like, well, what can you do? And then 2 years later, somebody attacked me with a baton in the laundromat down the road. And we struggled for my hatchet because he had a baton. I had a hatchet. We needed a COVID mask and came in just to beat me. Didn't work. No, you can go back. It's so stupid, bro. Because you guys are losers. And you know you're losers. So what's the point? It's like most of the world is up here by now in terms of like consciousness, critical thinking, empathy. We're doing the work. We've surpassed it. And most of you guys, you're here. And it's nothing cool here. It's not a heart space. I'm talking about physically lower, like here. And you mostly just work as lemmings, just across the internet, all day. How much of your day is spent just talking shit about other people, man? You throw around stigmatized words, you try to get into my life and try to make me feel less than. And I'm trying to help you have a better life. I'm trying to help you enjoy your life because you're trapped. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? You were programmed to believe that there was only really one way to live. And the point is that what does it matter my life? You know what I'm saying? Why are you so offended by me? Is it jealousy? Well, let's be honest here. How many of you guys are fat and drink? Like carnivore fishermen, how often are you drunk? How often have you kind of just settled in with your wife, or are you actually happy? Be honest. You think the other races has it figured out? Well, I think the natives had a good shot. Says I am fat, but I don't drink. Not fat, don't touch alcohol ever. Then what's wrong with you mentally that you're trapped in my comment section? You know what I'm saying? What went wrong? It's Sunday. Natives didn't stand a chance. The natives absolutely stand. Every battle they won. They lost because you guys would shit in the river. And they're not even you guys. Yeah, later. Watch. Carnivore fishermen. Check this out. Look, everything you said is deleted and I'll never see you again. People don't like to spread positivity more, but to keep going, don't let people stop you. Cheers from Sweden. What's up, man? Love is stronger than hate. Hallelujah. This fucking cream Pepsi tastes disgusting, but you know what? I bought it, so I'll drink it. The natives didn't have the brain power to be. The natives were connected to the super intelligence and the mycelial network, and they were speaking to extra dimensional entities all the time. They had metaphysical frameworks for spirituality that can literally get into your body and change the shape. The bad ones would be skinwalkers. They could do things that you can't even imagine. The problem was there was just so many. Like back then the white dads would be raping their daughters and pumping out 17 or 18 kids. Like, go look at family trees. There was just so many of them. And another problem the natives had was that when you get to this level of evolution where you're like, to touch the earth, it would be pointless because you would be wasting it trying to do something that would eventually just fall back. But spiritually, there's so much more going on. So they were like, the best thing to do would be to live in the tents. The best thing to do would be to travel and see how much beauty there is out there. So when the culture came, which is hoard all the resources, give it back to the Saturn worshipping Black Rock cult, and then the Black Rock cult uses things that they've stolen from Egypt, which is why they build the pyramids and this, to continue developing technology, to build them golems, which is now called robots. That was their end goal the whole time, to give vessels to this entity. They would do things unheard of, like lie and cheat. Give them gifts, and they're like, you finally gave us gifts. Oh my God, you finally came around. We were wondering, like, what's wrong with you? But we appreciate it, man. And then it turns out they put bioweapons in the blankets, so then they fucking die. You don't believe in skinwalkers traditionally? Well, you haven't been outside long enough, man. There's some shit out there. Tomorrow, you from Kitagan TV? I'm not saying a skinwalker is something that can literally change the cells into like Vecna and go, but I'm saying that it's something that in the age of Pisces, there were spiritual frameworks to sort of hack belief systems and use their Pisces influence on dreaming to change reality in front of you. You can see videos of me being able to turn crows off and on, basically. Like go to crow fighting, the video crow fighting, and you can see that I'd learned a more metaphysical framework to be able to communicate with nature and the electromagnetic spectrum because I've been out here for years. And I'm able to make the crows stop cawing and start cawing and stop cawing and start cawing with just my mind. That's a real video you can find. You can also find me connecting to God and somebody physically attacking me like minutes later. I've never watched a Gaia video in my life. I said, I would rather build my own unique perspective. I don't want to like influence myself by reading the scriptures and going on the videos. I'm going to go out here and tell you what I've put together because I did have an IQ of 140 at 14. I don't know where that is now after years and trauma and whatever. You know what I'm saying? I made my child stop crying with just a look. No, but I'm talking about like crows across a field and it's covered by trees and they can't see me. And I just go in spirit. And then I can feel their connection. And I just resist and assert no. And it took like about a year to actually get them to stop on command. And then you'll see that like in other videos I post, like the last one I posted recently where I revisit the past. I went to a place where the crow, I didn't know how to do that to the crows because that was 2023. So the crows come at me and then I'm able to stop them. And then the birds kind of, in celebration. And then a seagull fights the crow off for me. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm done with this guy. Once it's been like a week or so and they're still in the chat, you get rid of them. Because at that point, you're just feeding their addiction. But yeah, the only real problem is just that we all feel bad for you guys. But you're so addicted to technology that there's no saving you. So it's either it's a really hard test. It's like that Age of Aquarius test. Can you stand up to the white man and show them that they're lost? Or do you just survive as long as you can? And probably at the end of our life, we'll see them all eradicated. You know what I'm saying? It's warm today. It's usually, by now, in January, it's usually -10 at night. But for some reason, we've been having rainstorms. I don't know, man. Women love me. He thought I didn't read it, so he had to say it twice. We don't care, bro. You are utilizing the same tech, bro. You're at least 70% European. European. Well, if you Google real quick, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish, you look up Irish need not apply, you'll see that probably about 30 years ago, the Irish people became white because there was just so many of us that the government decided, let's try to erase as much propaganda as possible, and hopefully their kids won't realize that they're not white. Thanks, man. Look, the sun is shining on me now. They're just so backwards, but they've been led to believe that they're better than everybody else for so long. They're turncloaks, man. In the 90s, if that situation with ICE happened, they would be like, what a weak man. That guy's, what a weak man that ICE agent was. Look at that disgrace to their establishment, acting like that. Running up and barking at her and yanking at her car. Not saying a single thing that isn't like roid rage. They would say that they're emotional. They would say that real men don't act like that, especially to a lady. You say, I'm sorry you chose to get in the road, but to ensure everybody's safety, I will stay to have a conversation with you so you can get a perspective, because obviously there's a disconnect here between what we're doing and what you think we're doing. So everybody pull off to the side, let everybody go through traffic, and we can have a conversation. I will stay while my partners or fellow officers continue to do their job, and we can come to some type of common ground. That's what a real man would do, and you know it. Real man would have said, I honor that you think you're being heroic. You think you're doing something right, and I respect that, but there's a better way to do it that doesn't put people in danger. Instead, what they do is you exploited a loophole that if you're standing in front of the car and somebody drives, you can pretend to be fearing for your life and kill them. So as soon as he saw that his other officers were going the roid rage approach, he positioned himself in front of the vehicle. She clearly backs away. She clearly stated she has no problem with that officer. She made a full turn, and you can see her make a full turn. Even after being shot in the face, she didn't hit him. But he steps towards the vehicle with his phone and his gun like this to pop her. He sees the shot go through and hit her in the face. He sees that she's dead, and he fires off 2 more shots. You know what I'm saying? And white people can only do 3 things. It's just try to devour, take credit, and deceive. Also, I don't like that the story was that 3 months ago, the guy got hit by a car. But suddenly, it was 6 months ago, and he got 33 stitches. I think J.D. Vance is like, he always looks sad. I think he's like, he changed it just to show, like, please see the symbolism. We're trapped in the cult. They got us. We thought we were doing something good, but now we're stuck. Yeah, I didn't even read what Jesse James said. But he said the 33 thing. Yeah, haven't you seen Total Drama Island? You think they get voted off the island, but really they're on the other side sitting at a resort? JD is not human. Well, maybe. I know they do rituals. I know those rituals involve trying to change your epigenetics through the electromagnetic spectrum and quantum entanglement by infusing their systems with some type of extra dimensional consciousness, like the Mind Flayer from Stranger Things. I know that they do that. They call it ball worship. That's why Trump is a ballroom, where on Ball's birthday, December 25th, he put a wreath, and then on top of it was a statue of Ball, and he posted that on Facebook. He posted a picture of Ball with a wreath on Ball's birthday. And you're like, that's crazy and nuts. And you're like, but also, like, Muslims worship a rock. Christians worship a story. And then you find out that they all came from the same place. That was that Black Rock Saturnian cult. You're like, why do they put a pyramid on our dollar bill? And they do this? What is that? And why do under their flat plane with that symbol, they have a bunch of pillars? And now you're like, the pyramids have a bunch of pillars under it, and they said that there's something that looks like a spaceship down there. So obviously, they've just been hiding technology from us, because they view the world as their cattle. They feel like they're entitled because they got the power, so they keep their bloodlines or whatever. You're like, it's crazy and backwards, but I'm like, yeah, but they've been doing it for so long. Back when they started, it wasn't backwards. Yeah. Much love to the Irish. During COVID, the Navajo Nation was greatly affected, and Ireland sent aid because during the potato famine in 1840, yeah, they sent them. Was it the Choctaws sent Ireland $4,000 for the potato famine, which was that the people that didn't leave Ireland and go across the world and stayed in Ireland, they became slaves, and the English were taking everything that wasn't potatoes. So they call it the potato famine because there was a blight on the potatoes, and England was forcing them to give up all the other foods that they were getting. So the native tribes sent them $4,000, and then I think, was it 10 million or was it 4 million? Irish sent back during COVID $4 million, and they're building like tons of statues and cool stuff for native people in Ireland. There's a lot of native tribes that completely identify as both native and Irish at this point, and they celebrate both cultures. Trespassing, the concept of trespassing was invented because natives, Irish, and freed slaves were building their own towns. They were building their societies, and they wanted to be American too. They were just like, we don't want those rules. We'll still deal with you. We'll still be American, but we're not going to do it that way. No way. So they were like, actually, you're trespassing. And then they killed them all down in Mississippi and Alabama. But natives and Irish and Africans built bluegrass. They built, is it skedaddling? You know, they built skedaddling. They built all the skyscrapers in New York City were Africans, natives, and Irish. Pretty much all of the Midwest was Africans, natives, and Irish. Pretty much all of Florida was Africans, natives, and Irish. I would say Montana was also Africans, natives, and Irish. I think California definitely was indigenous, so natives. But then the Saturnian cult put their resources in Silicon Valley and their institutions or whatever. People call me dumb and shit, but then you're like, who's the smartest? And you're like, Harvard, and you're like, oh, Harvard has been posting some shit about what's wrong with white culture recently, talking about how diluted they are and how that came to be historically, and the pros of that and the cons of that. Hi, do you guys know any platforms to chat with people like Omegle, but more people in the room? Discord. Join a bunch of Discord groups. That's what all the kids do now. Kids don't even have Snapchat. Kids don't have Facebook. They don't have Instagram. They don't use them. They just use Discord now. So just join a bunch of Discord groups, hang out and talk to people. But the kids are lost, man. I feel bad for the kids. But they are spiritually more awake than these fat 40-year-olds here. They're talking about aura farming and quantum riz. They got a software update I don't even know about yet. And Freemasonry, the person in charge to carry out punishment to Freemasons who go against orders, they're called Tylers. Is that true? Speaking of Discord, a girl just messaged me. They only received 2,000 because Queen Victoria only donated 2,000. I don't know what that means. I was told the natives sent 4,000. Native Americans are gorgeous. I think they should spend a couple decades traveling to Africa, and then they will be the world superpower mentally, physically, and spiritually. Someone says, lucky my Irish forefather traveled to South Africa. New York was built by British and European. That's not true, bro. Stephen Robinson. Thanks, Beverly. Beverly likes my hair, man. New York was built by Irish construction, and then they had a specific job reserved only for natives for the top floors. So only Native Americans could work on the top floors, and those were called skywalkers. Have you ever had a near-death experience? Yeah, like all the time, bro. I've crashed my car into a pole at 90. I've been shot at, I think 4 times in the past 2 years. Someone tried to strangle me to death, and I had to cut my way out of the tent and wrap it around him and run. A lot of police brutalities, like 4 or 5 at this point. There was a girl that blew me in my motel room one night, and she had a boyfriend, and he showed up with an AR, and he got arrested. Threw a chair through my window because he was a couple years younger than me. He was like 18 when I was 22. And he tried to fight me again, and I just kept picking him up and throwing him on the ground. And he tried to get back up, and I'd grab him by the legs and just whoop. And I wore Tim, so I was like, "Do you want me to break all your teeth?" stop. And he was like, let me back up. And then I was right about to kick him, and somebody tackled me into the wall. And then when he showed up with an assault rifle, that guy was like, "That I really should have let you kick that guy. He probably would have killed all of us." God's perfect timing, man. I was this close to his teeth with my boot, and I was just gonna kick him right into his brain. And then someone tackled me right into the wall because they knew they were standing there, and he knew what I was gonna do. So it was like an adult, a real adult. Oh wow, you sound super tough. Thanks, man. You wouldn't believe the shit I've been through, man. I'm talking like when I was 19, I hung myself and I went into the hospital and I decided I didn't want to be there anymore and I just wanted to go home because I was like 500 or 600 miles from my hometown. And I was like, I just want to go home. So I have to stage a breakout. So I know the staff will come in and I know that they're slow. So I wait for the specific officer and I bean it for the door. I get past him. I get to the door to the hospital and there's just a guy standing right there that tackles me. 6 or 7 cops or guards, they look like they're cops, drag me back in, put me on the thing. They're all holding me down, and a cop is just slamming his elbow on my head. And I look up, and there's the only one that I can see that isn't possessed by the mind flayer is this older guy. He is white, but he might be Irish or Scottish. He's white there, but I can tell that he doesn't like what's happening. And that sort of like feral, the real Casey comes out. I was like, would you do this to your son? And he starts crying. And then the guy fucking knocks me down. And I was like, this guy likes it. As he's like pressing his elbow as hard as he can, smiling. And everybody's looking at him. And I'm like, this guy likes it. Look at him. Everyone look at him. And then I start crying. I'm like, I just want to kill myself. And then I was fine. Has your family exiled you too? I don't have a family. I never had a home or a family. Because you were being mental. No, they were being mental, man. It's not how you treat people with mental illness. And I wasn't really mentally ill either. I just was tired of the pain of my life. And I wanted it to be over. Everyone I tried to save either died or died inside. I couldn't save them. And I just figured I just didn't want to do it anymore. So I hung myself in some guy's basement. You should seek help. You need psychological and psychiatric help. I hope you find help. You need help. Good luck. Well, that was like 7 years ago. Fucked up. There are really some evil people. They all died. Your family. I mean, my dad was really funny, really smart. I've never heard my dad say anything bad about anybody ever, but he was really good at what he did, and he had some really, really wealthy clients, like the CEO of Wells Fargo and the DuPont family. And they let him stay in the lake house. They let him go on the yachts. They gave him a property, and he's not from this small town in the mountains where he was from just outside New York City. So the inbred yokel locals, the Jesuit slaves, were really upset that my dad was able to, with his wit and his heart, be able to get the opportunities that they will never have because they don't have that. And working for those things is impossible. It's not real. Working and to save up and buy that stuff isn't real. And my dad just was handed these opportunities because of his character and his moral character, whatever. He was just cool. So they burned everything down, and then he still survived and got an even better place. And then when I was 9, the whole police department showed up, made up that he wasn't using his blinker when he was, and then he had to fight 6 of them off, and eventually, with 6 of them with tasers and pepper spray, eventually they got him. And then they ripped me out of the car, hurting my shoulder, and they dragged me in the rain in the middle of the night to him and made me watch them. And I don't think he's worked. I mean, he couldn't do what he was doing before, but he still worked as a valet. He didn't just go right into unemployment, but eventually he retired and got an RV. So, is O'Brien your real name? County Clare in Ireland is the home of the O'Briens. A lot of Americans are moving here now. Research it. I've been thinking a lot about moving to Ireland. I really want to go to the where the Battle of Clontarf happened and feel if my ancestors start singing. I want to feel like if there's a change in my heart when I go there and feel like, because sometimes when I go to New York and I go to where my family is from, the native side, I feel like I'm home, but I feel like there's something really wrong. Like something in my blood is expecting it to be not developed. So when I went there for the first time, I'm like passing trees and it feels like I've been here for generations and generations. It feels like the trees are singing the same song and I feel not like a fish out of water like I do here. But then I go to the developed areas and the skyscrapers and the Lake George and Saranac Lake and something feels really wrong there. But it feels like I'm home, but my home is wrong. So I want to go to Ireland and see how it feels. Um, Last time I went to see my dad, I he tried to kill me. He like grabbed me by the hair, threw me down, and tried to choke me to death. And I just bent his finger back till he ran. And my mom is someone that has a lot of trauma, and she's been in Section 8 her whole for not her whole life, but for the past 25 years. And just sits alone and stares at her phone. So she's a Trumper now. She went from a Buddhist to a Trumper by staring at her phone 12 hours for she said her screen time is 24 hours a day. So she's just too far gone. They're narcissists now. And it's not really their fault actually. It really was what people did to us. Because things were good until the white man came, literally. No. She devolved to being completely dysfunctional. And now she's like you guys. When she lost her mind and she lost her social skills and her diet sucks and her sleep time sucks and she's extremely unhealthy. Now she's like you guys. It took that much to get her to be as retarded as most of you. Because before she was a really talented writer, she was extremely funny, Irish and native. And sometimes she's pretty funny. She told me, I said, dude, I think a lot of people think narcissism is a demon. And she's like, well, sometimes I look at your channel and I'm like, how the fuck did Pazuzu get in there? That's not you. Hey, Jeff Heinberg, you're on thin ice. If you let me live with you, we can go to Aspen and return that briefcase. Caillou, at some point, I gotta see, do you have subscribers, bro? You're funny. I can't see I can't see if you have subscribers or not. You got 6. Let me live with you. We can go to Aspen and return that briefcase. Why did you call me an ogre when I'm a looks maxer? You're scaring me. This guy's funny. Bro, I need an army. Can we watch you poo? I farted. You smell it? So, I mean, there's nowhere to poo, man. I tried to go to work and somebody was doing the shoveling. And I was like, that guy makes a lot of money. He doesn't need to be shoveling. He must need the money for something. I was like, okay. You have the right to citizenship. I mean, my great grandfather was from Ireland. Peter's house says, do you need a Chinese boyfriend? I don't need a boyfriend, man. I like girls. I know it'd be easier. It'd be a lot easier to be a gay schizo loser, but it's just not in my blood, man. You'll get a passport. Dr. Chimamadam Scaramanga. Is that racist to say that? You're an actual doctor, man. What part of what? What part of Ireland was he from? I don't know. I know he was in the war and then he immigrated. And they said that when cars were first invented, people would show up and pick up my great grandfather and take him across the country And they said it was to go to dog shows, but I'm like, maybe it was Masonic rituals. I don't know. Are all Americans weird or just conservatives? Well, the problem is that it's an ancient Saturnian Saturn worshipping cult. They worship Capricorn or Baal. They seem to have some type of hidden wisdom or technology from Egypt that they're not sharing with us, but they rub it in our face for some reason. And they've been very public that they see white people as select bred cattle that they use to conquer the world, rape it of resources to build what they call golems. But modern day, what that is robots. It's vessels that can don't have a soul but can be controlled. So it's mainly just people that don't subscribe to that and they're trying their best to go through it. Those people are really cool. And then there's everyone that's stuck in that illusion and control from Capricorn. They really work hard and they really believe that they're going down the right way and that the electric box and the piece of land in the family and their phones, it's a nice life, but they're unable to see when Erica Kirk does the devil horns and Trump and Vance do the devil horns and LeBron James does the devil horns and Eminem, and they wear the Saturn merch and they have a ball statues in the White House. They can't see it. So they sort of, it's like instead of accepting that truth, they devolve and they kind of lose themselves. So that's why you're like, they're weird, they're crazy. We don't understand why they're so nuts, and the points they make are just kind of like a bunch of negative bullshit that we can easily pick apart. They don't seem to have any sense of like humanity or morality or anything. Um, when First Amendment auditors kind of walk around their towns full of them, they go fucking psychotic and crazy, and they like go outside of the law and do a bunch of like really cartoonish, mentally ill, like 5-year-old temper tantrum behavior, and they go like fucking nuts at just some guy like walking down the street connected to God. But they believe that they like talk about God and stuff too. You're like, what's wrong with them? And you're like, oh, they're literally are select bred programmed Jesuit slaves to just continue raping the world of resources to build their masters robots, and they believe that they're building a part of society, but they have no connection to community. So they live in these stupid power tripping ego stuff, which is why people like the Duffer Bros have to make Stranger Things and show the kids the Mind Flayer and Vecna and stuff to help them understand the disillusionment of the ego, to recover from their traumas and programming, to go back to who they were as a child before the world hurt them and tried to convince them to be Vecna Mind Flayered. And it's just tough. It's tough to wake them up, because even if you did, they would be so obsessed with power they wouldn't be able to really have the fun you're trying to show them. Even if you brought them to the cookout, they would spend the whole time like stuck in their programmed beliefs, and they wouldn't be able to enjoy it without trying to exert dominance over everyone. And they just don't seem to have the critical thinking capable. They don't have the creativity or innovation capable of actually making the change. So they tend to just put their head down and bark at each other the whole time. That's why you see people like, I saw a couple on a date yesterday, and the guy spent the whole time posturing and spitting at me. And the girl was like looking at me smiling, and I just looked over like, what? Do you not see the view? Do you not see how amazing and peaceful it is? And you're like hyper fixated on me. Thanks, man. Then you woo up. No, I was live when that happened. I was live on the internet when that happened. Thanks for explaining. Yeah, it's just, you can look up that the first law ever passed in the United States was giving King James and the Satanist Church rule over America. And the Revolutionary War, we lost. It was a psyop. It was a fake illusion of freedom. Because a couple brave people stood up to the redbacks, the lobster coats. The Boston Tea Party was a bunch of Renee Goods. True facts. And I don't believe the bullshit that they say, man. Strategic natural resources grab, yeah. And then it doesn't go back to America. It goes to that globalist cabal or whatever. It doesn't go to you guys. I think you're talking to yourself, man. $21 here, catch you later. 2100. They go by different time. Hey, Faden's coming around. You coming around, man? Hey, the Jews. Tell you what, bashing whites has been the best decision I made on my channel so far. And I'm only doing it for a little while. Do I want to be the dark Nick Fuentes? I don't know. I would whoop Nick Fuentes' ass, though. Nick Fuentes cannot fight. Asmongold would see me and cross to the other side of the street. I think they're just playing a character. I think they're all fake. I don't think they're real at all. I think they just get a script and they do what they're told. They have a little bit of leeway and room about what they can do and say, but you have to do the specific talking points. So this event happens. Asmongold gets an email or a message, and he says, "This is what you have to say. Tell us what you're going to say, and we will give you a check mark if that's okay." So he says, "Okay." And then he posts some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? That is what it is, man. Gypsy Crusader would dominate you. Isn't he 5'4"? I don't think Gypsy Crusader could reach me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think Gypsy Crusader's really fucking short. I saw a video of like a 13-year-old black kid that says, call me a nigger to my face. And he was like, "You're a nigger," you know? And I am African, by the way. I'm a green nigger. Ask any Haitian. Yeah, Gypsy Crusader on that, there was a 13-year-old boy saying it, and Gypsy Crusader was like at his chest. I'm pretty sure Gypsy Crusader is like 5'2". He's short as hell, man. I don't think Gypsy Crusader is doing anything to me, bro. I've also got, if you couldn't tell, I've got retard strength. You are white, I can see it. I'm Irish, man. Irish and native. Irish people weren't white until there was so many of them that the government had to denounce their propaganda for fear of a revolution. Ireland built most of the country with the blacks and the natives. True facts. All you guys really did was kind of take credit for it. I think Gypsy Crusader needs a hug. I think he's gay. I think Gypsy Crusader is a homosexual. And so is Nick. Tucker Carlson had to explain to Nick how to be attracted to women. Did you see that? Am I gay? No. Gypsy Crusader's 5'11". Then that 13-year-old kid, you know, you can just make up things too. You can just make up your height on the internet. Look over your yard, do you have snow? Yeah. And you don't like homosexuals? No, I'm just saying that Gypsy Crusader's gay. He's a gay man. Here's something. Every guy I know that dates a girl that is like really, really thin. I need to word it correctly. When I see a really, really buff guy, you know, like he's got big muscles, whatever, and he's dating a girl that's got no buns, no boobs, really skinny. and he like needs that for his dominance or whatever. Those guys, like I've had them as friends. Those guys turned out to be gay every time. Well, maybe I'll fight him one day. I don't think he really believes the things he believes, and if he does, it's unfortunate. The only bad experience I've ever had with black people were black people that they literally told me I'm a white black guy. I'm white. Literally. The one black person that I've ever had a negative experience with told me that he's a white black man. He's like, I'm on the inside, I'm white. And he was like 60. And he was trying to take advantage of me as a child to groom me. And I grew up in like a very large population of colored people for my state. Like all the people of color were in my town. The descendants of the Buffalo Soldiers, multi-generational, like four generation immigrants from Africa. Nothing but positive. Even traveling around the country and like being out there with homeless black people, they're not mad and violent and crazy. They're upset at something in society that happens to have consumed a lot of people, like the Mind Flayer. They're actually pretty righteous. They're just misguided. The experiences that I have that I don't like the way that I feel, the way the Gypsy Crusader feels about blacks, I would feel about white kids that would pretend to be hood because there was a city 2 hours away. I'm talking about redheads that would dread their hair and buy unregistered firearms and threaten people on the internet. Get addicted to lean and pills. The people that acted black but had no actual OGs or role models. And they lived in a suburban nice house out in the mountains. I feel the way Gypsy Crusader feels about blacks about those guys, so I get it. And then, I mean, when I think that my like I was born in 99, right at the end, right before 2000. I think that we were the last ones. Everyone else is fucked. Every generation past mine is fucked. They can't think, they can't speak, they're so consumed with power and ego games, or they're like extremely like stuck. They have something really wrong with them. I was the last generation. I mean, we got social media when I was 11. So I still had 10 years to run around alone in the mountains. And that was back when men were men, and it wasn't, there was like the police were like the whites that were the really like spend all day talking shit and worrying about the dark power and how they used their money and everything and still feeling like they were better. But I definitely had a lot of good role models that just like went to work and they had families and they were white. But I grew up in AA meetings too. So the whites I was around were people that understood suffering and inequality, unfairness of life, and were abused by that same system. I wasn't raised around the country folk, I guess. I wasn't raised around those, and I wasn't raised around the liberals or the frissy high class people. I was raised around pretty much completely alone in the mountains. I did have a boat. My dad would take me on the boat sometimes, had a trampoline. But I was an only child. So if you're raised by a family from New York City, even though you live in the mountains and you're completely alone, I was just blessed with, even if you wouldn't consider them, because they didn't have a lot of money and they didn't have like whatever, I still feel like I had really, really good role models. And then the bad ones fucking ruined it. The whites came and burned our shit down and then staged and or manufactured a crime that wasn't real. And then they reached in to grab the key with the gun drawn. My dad rolls the window up, speeds in reverse. The cop is hanging out the window like a cartoon. And then all of a sudden, all the lights turn on right outside our driveway, and there were just 6 cops there. So they rip him out. My dad fucking whoops him because we have retard strength. And eventually they get him. And then once he's down, they rip me out of the car when I'm 9, and they hold both of us like crucified position. And they made me watch them do horrible things to him. And the only reason I could see that they didn't like him was because his wit, his charm, his charisma, I guess, and his skill. He was really smart. He's really smart, really good at math, really good carpenter, really good electrician. He decided to be a ski instructor, and he was really good at it. They called him the legend. They're like, that's the legend right there. And he was good. And the wealthiest people in the world loved his company. And they would take him on the yachts and everything. So my dad got to live that experience, and he didn't have to work for it. All you people that work so hard, you won't get those experiences because you don't have. Just because you work as a slave doesn't mean that you've got it in you. You know what I'm saying? He did. So I think they were jealous. And I think they attack me because they're jealous. But for some reason, with the intellect comes this humility, whether we were ancient war chiefs in a past life or polar bears or something. We don't have that. We don't have it. So it was tough to be in a small hive mind full of lemmings as the people that we are. But God gave us looks, I guess. Would you say that I'm conventionally attractive? Because I don't see it. I literally, like, when I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about what can I be doing to create something. I'm not really worried about how people see me. When I read your comments, it doesn't make me feel anything. I'm trying to really just understand what's wrong with you guys. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's a gay question. I think that you had a gay answer. You know what I'm saying? Marcus, I want to go to a Diddy party. Marcus has been trying to go to a Diddy party for a while, man. I think you could manifest it, man. In my hometown, there are some weirdos that do cuddle parties. Someone else just messaged me. You need to seek the truth. There's no God. There's obviously a creator. Yeah, you're a good-looking dude, bro. No homo. Yeah, it's crazy that I can't see it. Maybe it's autism. Maybe it's growing up in isolation. But girls have always called me handsome and liked me. And for some reason, it was just trauma from childhood, I guess. And that before I understood, the white kids would just try to beat the shit out of me. They wouldn't invite me to their reindeer games. It's obvious there's a pattern to creation. Manifestation is real, but it's not at your will. It's not like you could be like, if I hold all the power in and I imagine that I'm going to get this, I'm going to get this. No. But you can find me on a live stream, I think, or yeah, it was a live stream like about a year ago. More than a year ago. I was in this parking lot, and I said, I just saw myself in a SUV, and it's black. I think it's a RAV4. And then a year later, I'm in this black and green RAV4. But it took me a lot of suffering, a lot of violence, a lot of persevering, until I went to the very end. I went to everywhere in the state that I could go and live in a tent. And at the very end, when the last fat, drunk, white loser freaked out at me about a property he doesn't even own or live on, and everyone else there had no problem with me being there, and I literally can't get a job until I get my birth certificate, and I've been waiting 6 months for it to come in the mail. So I am trying to save up money to drive down there. Right now, I'm trying to use the money to put the car in the shop. So once the car's in the shop and I know it could actually make it down there, I'll probably have to do an oil change at least. And I think my driver's side tire is losing air. Then I'm going to go down there and just wait until they give me the birth certificate so that I can save up enough money for gas so that I can travel. So what you're saying is that I'm not going to get that million on Sunday? I'm saying that it's a hard road. and it would be easier to just get a job. But the story behind it and the things you experience in the alternative way, where you sort of live with the universe and you try to get a greater understanding of higher intelligences and morality, and you just keep going. It's a hard road, but you end up with better than you expect at the perfect time. So sort of lose your expectations, but have hopes and stay humble and do what you can, and just learn how to be more when you're like, you have to be grateful for the present moment to get your manifestations. That's not saying sit here and practice gratitude. It's saying that you're going to suffer until you are so far below what you're going to be rewarded with that you become, oh, thank God I have this. It's not saying if I practice gratitude, it will come to me in abundance. It's like, no, you will be destroyed until you learn to appreciate what you're going to get, and then you get it. I wanted a cot. I was sleeping on the ground, and I had this shitty cot on the tent. The cot broke. I didn't ask the universe for a cot, but I was like thinking about what's the best thing that I can get for myself, and I'm going to go out there and get it somehow. I'm going to try to find a way to get it somehow. I'm going to look on Marketplace. I'm going to try to do this. I'm going into town, and they're still not hiring me. There's no under-the-table work. I'm trying my best. And then I'm walking down the road one night, and there's this, I've been saying it on my channel for a long time, that there's just this one house that throws things out in the driveway for free. And usually it's like stuff that I really need. There was like 3 things, and then there was this 300, like this nice, probably, like I've seen it for probably $100, like $100 cot. That like, it's like one of those that you pull out like this, and then you can put in no Diddy. Somebody said Diddy baby oil. And that was there, and I was like, that's great, thank God. But then the next day, somebody twisted the brakes on my bike, so I didn't have brakes, and I just sent it down this long, like mile-long hill. Speed limit's like 50 miles an hour. I was going faster than the cars. I couldn't stop. I tried to get off into a field because it looked like it was a gradual, slow decline and then just a flat thing. But in that intersection where I fell, it was 10 feet drop. So I fell, got knocked unconscious, hairline fractures on all my shoulder and back. I had to I couldn't move. I had to lay there. Once I crawled and limped to the outlet, called the ambulance and got into the hospital. Once I got back all the way up the mountain, when I got by the end, I had to position it right, and I just laid there and passed out like that. And I had to lay there for like a week. And as I'm laying there with the hairline fractures and everything, I was like, thank God for this cot. I'm so grateful that I'm not on the floor. User becomes more and more useless. I had to change it. I mean, on my way to get my first car that I've ever bought flat out with my own money was a Dodge Magnum, aftermarket everything. I went down to somewhere in Massachusetts, and these kids were driving me, and it was like a 31-year-old guy and a 27-year-old guy, but they both drink. They both don't have girlfriends. I think they were both virgins. Either autistic or just incels, whatever. And now they're probably like much older. And their tire popped, and I was 21 at the time. I was the only one that knew. Like, they were freaking out. What do we do? What do we do? We're on the highway. And I was just like, do you have a jack and tire iron? And I just changed their tire, and I saw how mind blown they were. And then they saw me get a nice car and everything. In South Africa, Sunlight liquid is dishwashing soap, works better. Butter for the tire? I don't know. I am the darkness 420 is talking shit. Who would have thought? Butter. The other guy at the building that I shovel at, he did say he wanted to quit. He did say he wanted to quit his job, but he makes a lot of money he does like data entry for the military industrial complex, and he says he has like clients and shit. And he said he doesn't really like it, but he makes a lot of money. He owns a home. He has like $100,000 Sprinter van. And I'm the shovel guy. I shovel. And he does like projects and stuff. Helps take down the set and everything. These were the losers that woke me up at 5 a.m. And then when I was trying to hold my energy and then connect back to God and keep them from attacking me, they got out and ran around the car and spitting and kicking and shit like crazy people. Because that's the shit you gotta deal with out here, man. That's a cool angle. But yeah, he was shoveling. I was like, maybe I don't know what's going on, but I just lost like $60. Thanks, dude. You just stole $60 from me and you make $2,000 a week, man. Come on. Did you really need that 60, or were you trying to take it from me? Or do you have like an hourly quota you have to meet? But I was like, whatever. God works in mysterious ways. So we're gonna go see if he missed anything so that I can get back to work. Probably put you like here. How's that? That's fine. We're just going down the road. I was trying to sleep, and then I was gonna organize the car. I felt really good. And then I woke up to people trying to fuck with my car again at 5 a.m. And then I felt like some type of energy attack that lasted like 4 hours. What's happening down here, man? I let him do his thing and I said, I'll just come back later. It does look like people are coming in. Maybe they have a meeting or something. Did he do that way? It looks like he tried. He left some of it to melt. So I'll break this shit. Did he do this one too? Well, if he's satisfied with it, who gives a fuck? Let's go do something else. I hate the drama at the drama club. What's all this drama at the drama club? Chat. You ever seen an Archaeopteryx? You're like, what the fuck are those things? Am I right? Bird. Bird dinosaur. Maybe there's something going on at the school. We'll go see the school. I'm not even that hungry, man. I just got my soda. Chat, I don't like it here. There's too much drama. You're in the middle of the fucking road, man. Fucking hitting each other and shit. You're supposed to yield, man. I couldn't stop in the middle of the road, but you were halfway out the road and you fucking parked, man. What are you, Renee Good? I'm not ice. Lifted truck. Oh, I was gonna go get my banjo strings. For some reason, I donated that ukulele to the music hall. And then the guy didn't put it in the music hall for like 3 weeks, and the strings either froze off or they broke off somehow. Maybe he tried to play it and it broke, and he's not telling me, but for some reason the high and low E strings broke off. So when I tried to play my guitar, it broke one of the strings in the cold, and he left a set of banjo strings. So I'm gonna try to put the banjo strings on the guitar. We're just seeing if anybody's here. I would think I want to hang out here for a little bit. If nobody's home, I want to go see how it feels out there, and then I'm not. Speed bump. Okay, it doesn't look to be a horde of people like there was yesterday. I really want a horse, man. It's all I think about lately is that I want to get a horse. Oh shit. What the fuck? So the road, that doesn't look good for me if they're watching on camera. What looks to be a road is actually, they paved asphalt over the sidewalk. So you think it's just going right into the road, but then there's a big drop. Because the sidewalk is paved like a road and it connects to the parking spaces. I wonder who's here. I wonder who's around the corner. Chat. How is everybody doing? This is going to be a year of boldness. You're going to have to take massive action. It's going to be scary. And it does seem like the devil is working against me. They stole like, what? At least $150 I would have made today. But I work pretty good. I don't think it would end up being 150. It'd probably be like 80. I probably could have got it done in 4. I feel like you have this unnecessary competition that stems from your own insecurities, and I'd like you to get the fuck off my dick. Get the fuck off my dick. I don't care about you. I don't like you. I spent a few weeks with you. I think you're a narcissist and an addict. I think you had a good heart, but I think your actions. I think your money, all your money is fucked with you. This is nice. I like this spot a lot. Meow, 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 meow. The Lyrans. Hallelujah. What's day do? How are you getting a birth certificate? Well, I was gonna work today. I was gonna bang out all the frozen stuff, take that money, and then get a couple gas cards and go down there. But now, once I cash out, I'll have enough to at least put the car in the shop. And it is gonna snow tonight, so I will at least be able to go back and shuffle later, which is cool. What state do I live in? I don't know. Hallelujah. I should have bought a headlamp. And the guy even told me to buy a headlamp, and I didn't. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. But I can do it like that, and that works. Chat. I got a light, and I got a tripod. Look at me. Big ballin' over here, eh? I can't afford to go for a drive. I also think this nicotine is getting me sick, man. How do you feel about them making these robots? I just want white people dead. I'm like, oh, if we live in a utopia, but then I'm like, everywhere we go is going to be full of fat white people. Come on, Bill Gates. Just do it. Even if we live in a technocratic utopia, all these beautiful places that I would want to go, as soon as I get there, it's just going to be a horde of pigs. What do you want? What do you want, man? I'm not answering. I'm not answering that shit. I'm gonna Venmo you $10. Hope it helps. Appreciate it. Do a whip it real quick. Well, I know. Cool. I could potentially. I mean, if I got another phone, that would open up more content because I could talk to these people in the comment sections. I think I'll just keep it for gas, and then I don't know what I'm at on my Cash App. I do have a $30 card somewhere. It's probably in my wallet. I spent my Irving card from the conference. It's not here. Somewhere in this car is a $30 voucher. This can go. This $50 and $100 vanilla gift card for some reason I have. I doubt there's anything on these, but I'll keep them to check tonight. Somewhere in here, man, there's an envelope with a card in it that has $30. So with that, plus the 10, plus whenever I decide to cash out from work, that can at least put my car in the shop. Once the car is in the shop, and I know if it's good to make the trek, then tomorrow I can call them and say, hey, do you got my birth certificate? Did you get the application finally? I've put it in twice. And they will say, no, we didn't. And I'll be like, well, how about I come down there? And they're like, I don't think you should. But I was like, if I go there every day, you're going to escalate it, right? And they'll be like, no. And then I'll go the fuck down there and I will put the application in every day and we will just sit there and wait for it. Or I'll put the application in and say, here's my cell. Give me a call when you have it. Don't mail it to me. Just tell me when it's available. And I will come down there and pick it up. Because mailing is not working. So it's about an 8-hour trip. Are you looking for a place to stay? Do you want to get out of the car for a few months? Well, I was supposed to have gotten a phone call on Friday from a church who was reaching out to look for places I could put my cabin tent when it comes in the mail. I got a tent stove. I have a hatchet. I was going to go out to the cabin tent to park and then eventually save up, pay for a moving company to get all of my stuff out of my family's house because they're very sick narcissists. So once my stuff is out of their place, then I would pick it up from the moving company and bring it up and put it there. And then I'm really trying to I just want to start playing the guitar again. You have 36 acres in northern Wisconsin. You can stay there if needed. It's very beautiful. Is it empty? Yeah, you don't live there. That's the next thing. Like, does he live there? I don't want to be in somebody's backyard, and then I wouldn't make any trash. If you had like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know the new world needs homesteaders and they need content of people doing these alternative lifestyles. So it would be very easy to make a Facebook page called Sanctuaries or the right. I'm going to tell him, I want to make a program called The Right Way, which is it's funny because the right way, but it's not the right way, as in like right wing, but the right way as in the best way to solve the homeless crisis. And part of that means I want sanctuaries, which is like homesteads, and homeless programs become funnels. People that would do good and are good people that just don't want to pay rent. People like me. And then people that have more of an addiction, more needing psychiatric, whatever. And, really documenting the types and really getting into it like a science. And then I want to talk to Phoenix Gym in Boston about moving and starting up a franchise in northern New England in one of these small cities. Because northern New England is a place that people get stuck in and then they eventually freeze to death because the community kills them, basically. They do everything they can to kill them. So I know Phoenix Gym in Boston has a 90% success rate at permanently recovering the worst form of addicts. And all it is that you go to a gym every day with like-minded people. It's like AA, but instead of talking about the Bible and reading from a book, you just work out together every day. You go on runs, and then you hang out and have a bunch of opportunities in the city to be sober. I'd like to make that more, kind of extend that. And it's cool it's Phoenix, and I'm Sagittarius, And the city that I'm trying to put it in is where my friend Phoenix was drugged, raped, and dropped out a window as an 18-year-old runaway. So it's kind of the best place to put the Phoenix Gym. Where's my TP for my bunghole, man? I need to blow my nostrils. Right here. So I want to try that at least. But part of this is I'm looking for a piece of land and a bunch of like-minded people that are interested in doing some type of getting out of this. Getting out of the system. Getting away from the mind flayer. Finding it all, because I see a 24-year-old on YouTube that cold calls fixer-uppers, and he just has guys that do cheap rates but do a good job. He lowballs realtors. He gets them from their clients. They exchange clients because they have a good rapport, and he bangs $20,000 per flip at 24, and all he does is cold call people. All he does is call this person, then he calls this person, then he calls this person, and he's on the internet scouting and hunting for properties. The thing stopping me from doing that is I don't have Wi-Fi and a computer. And also I wanted to really get to the end of this wilderness journey and make sure that I've got the most out of it possible so that the things that I've learned from it are not able to be taken from me. I didn't want to go at 23 if I had made all that money on crypto that I made and I didn't lose it because my computer fried, sitting at a park and ride with my phone hotspot trading crypto and working with the latency to scalp, and I made $2,500, and then right at the end when I 10x'd it, my computer fried, literally overheated, and I couldn't get it on, and then opened my Soulflare account and everything was gone. I either got hacked or what, but I don't know. If I didn't do that, I would have never found that cabin. I would have never walked 110 miles through this state. I would have never known about the horrible things that I experienced. So I know that I have the potential to become a millionaire tomorrow, probably. I could probably join a Discord group and meet somebody who can get an opportunity to me, I thought this was the most perfect thing to do in life. To start it. Was to get to the end of the cycle. Out in the wilderness. Do I have a family? Not really. 8/12/1995, you want me to do a life path reading? Is that what you're asking? Here it's right now it's 40, it's like 34. It was 47 yesterday. Tomorrow it's going to be 0. A few days from now it's going to be -6. And if we get a random storm from the south again, it'll go back up to 47. It's weird. Last year it was -60 wind chill. Hey man, I'll do a life path reading. I don't have super chat set up. I have a Cash App, KCO9989, the letter O. Saving up to get gas to go down to my birthplace and get my birth certificate so I can have 2 forms of ID to work. But I'll do basically you're a Leo 3, and I guarantee you're going to be like a 9 or a 7 or something. So 8 and 3 is 11, 12, 21, 30, 35, 8. Okay, that's cool. So 8, 12, let's make sure 8 and 12 is 11, 8, 1, 2 is 11, 12, 21, 30, 35. So you're an 8 life path. I said 9, 7, and you're 8. You're 8. That's cool. 8, 3, 8. An 8 life path, born on the 12th. That's a Leo. Leos deal with stagnant places that have a lot of things orbiting around them, and it's not at a social level. It's more at a passionate, creative level. Leos do have a tendency to be sensitive and care about other people, but their ego gets in the way and they tend to be overbearing and controlling. As a 3, you have a tendency to create. You tend to be more childish than other people, and the world doesn't affect you as much because of that. You probably had a hard childhood that forced you to be the center of attention, but in a way that people coveted you and treated you like a baby rather than how you felt. You probably felt like you had something else that you had to offer and people couldn't see that, but they all wanted to be around you anyway. You were like the little pearl of the family. You were like maybe the little brother, kind of like the jewel that everybody kind of coveted around. You probably had a very dysfunctional family. In your life you had many lives, but you don't have the responsibility of a master number. So you will have things that you tend to be good at. You have a tendency to be good at many things that you did in past lives, that your job on this earth really is just to shine and show it off. You will revolve around something creative, but in your life you will be dealing with the karma of many different people, in a way where the skills that you learn will make a change. The problem is that try to make sure that your own life, you have a foundation, and that your own life is set up, and that you should be using your tendency to focus on yourself instead of trying to put it all into something external, because you will often be detrimental to the people that you pretend to care about. And you do really care about them, but the problem is that this self dichotomy where you feel like you are the sun. The cool thing about the thing you say about Leos is that Leos don't have the skills. They feel like they do, and then they usually just work on one thing, or like 2 or 3 things. To be a Leo 8, and my vocal coach was a Leo 8. They're very good at things. Basically, it's more about something you're trying to create than the home and family as a 3. Usually you find Leo 4s and Leo 6s, but my dad's a Leo. My dad's a Leo 1, 3. He's born on the 10th. He's a 3 life path. You might really feel this need to be in the center of attention because of something that you create, which will probably be more reflective of self. It's like something that you take great care in, sort of a character you might have created as yourself. Like you might really like the idea of being this type of character. It's not completely selfish. Unhealed, you become like a maybe getting too far into other people's lives and sort of accidentally burning away everything. So you have a bunch of people that you care about that you feel are orbiting you, but you might take too much pride in your position, and your extension of yourself and your creativity into their lives. Leos tend to forget that there are alternative perspectives, but if you're a girl, that isn't usually the case. I don't know what that means. 8 is just mastery of many things, and you came to this life to show it off and have fun with it. So you did a lot of stuff, but you don't have the responsibility of making a drastic change in the world and have this extreme suffering in like a Truman Show experience. You will probably get the spotlight as a 3, especially as a 3-8 Leo. There's something you're good at that you want the world to see, or you feel the world should see, and they should see it. The only other thing I would say is that make sure you understand that not to be so fully developed in your way. Like, you might really think that you got it and you know what you're doing, and oftentimes that can get in the way of the people that God sends to you, and you're not able to enjoy them because you get so wrapped up in self. That's the problem I see with Leos, is that God sends people to them, but they see him more as an orbiter and not like something very important. They can't really get to that level of humility and care about the people around them until after they sort of abuse that and they get sent into suffering. And then later in life, like with girl Leos, they usually wind up in a bad relationship and they get trapped. And then they realize, oh, there was all these guys that were so much better, and I couldn't see them because I was so wrapped up in self. That's a tough thing Leos kind of suffer with the most, is like, let's say God will send somebody to be your best friend, but there's something up with that person that you don't like, and you feel like that gets in the way of your own life. So you can't do what you feel called to do because there's this intrinsic gravitational pull back to your heart space. And then that unhealed can be extremely draining to the passion and creativity of everybody around you. But they usually, because of their settling and suffering and everything, that makes them start to covet you. And really, like, they'll talk about you when you're not around. They will also, just to say, like, more synchronicities for you. You probably started out at the service desk of a grocery store or at a gas station or something where a lot of different people come in. You have a lot of different people in the town and you stay in your spot. Leos have that stagnant spot that as your community will cycle and they're going through their journeys, you're like a gas station for passion and creativity. Unhealed, you become like this empire that's always trying to dominate everybody else. But healed, you become like a rest area and a gas station for your natural abundance and childlike nature. Don't let the world beat that out of you. Don't let the world take away your creative inner child, because that's what's supposed to be shown to the world, with the mastery of what you made in other lifetimes. So if you don't know what you're good at, give yourself as much potential as possible. Try different things and give yourself the love you deserve, but always hold the idea that other people also know things, and they might not think the way that you think that they're thinking, because you do have this creative orbiting covering your whole space. 4, when it goes from 3 to 4, they become extreme overthinkers and like meticulous and focused on things in front of them, and that gets in the way of relationships. And they tend to go their own way, and they do it the wrong way, usually because of the ego of the summertime sunshine. But 3s are a step back from law and order, and they're more creative and childlike, more fun. The 8, life path just emphasizes the fact that you have a lot of people in your life. Whether that's for maybe 3 months at a time, you wind up in a place where everybody's orbiting you. And it's less about you and more about the healing that you have to offer. It's less about your influence, your existence. Because you do, I would say a Leo 6 would be more of a harmonizer, more of a healer. But I would say don't be afraid to tell the jokes and be who you want to be. Just don't let it consume you. Try to be open to and selfless to others, so you don't get consumed. And then you'll find your power. You probably grew up in a red house or a red car, or you slept in a red bed with a red blanket or pillow, or you had something that was red and yellow that you really liked. You might be wearing red clothes nowadays, or there's something on your dash that's red, something that stays close to home, something that's important to you that you keep with you. Maybe it's a red wallet or a red purse. Maybe it's like a pair of red socks that you got, or there's something red that you hold close to yourself, that you sort of keep as like a sacred memento. And that's part of who you are. Which is just something your soul keeps as a constant reminder to remember the right framework of this boldness. The yellow is the sort of what you create, what comes out of you is like this bubbly childlike thing. But yeah, I guarantee you, even the Leos that I meet that are homeless, they wind up being the center. Like they're in a motel. One time, my Leo ex called me and she was homeless, and she went from smoking crack outside. She was a model when I dated her. She was a model on Instagram, but then I saw her like 3 years later, and she was smoking crack by the pumpkins outside of Price Chopper, while her 30-year-old boyfriend, and she was 21. Her 30-year-old boyfriend was filling up the fucking grocery cart full of things, and he was going to steal it all and go away, and he was putting his cigarettes out on her. And then literally a week, like 2 days later, she shows up and she's found a group of new friends, and she's in the back seat with a new boyfriend in the middle seat, and everyone else is just driving her around, and they all love her and her story. And then a week later, she had made a lot of money selling drugs, and she was now living in a hotel, and she had a bunch of other random people. I don't know why people gave me this shit. Hopefully some of that was accurate. I would say you probably like to, I think you shine best in the dark. I would say. Yeah, and definitely routine is extremely important. Kind of getting out of your own way. And then not being afraid to be yourself. But once you build these relationships, make sure not to give too much of yourself to them, because it doesn't end up helping them. It ends up consuming them, and they feel trapped. Use your tendency to care about people but don't make it overbearing. It's the balance between self and others. That's what Leo is. Leo is learning how to care about people without killing them. Leo is about learning how to love yourself without holding it over everyone else. Leos tend to be jealous and competitive because they don't understand. They're struggling with this self. So they tend to become extremely jealous and competitive. How that represents is the day. So you're a 3. But you're good at a lot of stuff. So I would figure out those things that you're good at. No, every girl I've ever dated says, please don't ever fuck with your teeth. I love your teeth. Every girl I dated loved this. I definitely need to brush them, though. 10-10-1961, please. My Cash App is KCO9989. My Venmo is KC O'Brien with an E, 1133. Ten 1961. You're a Libra, right? You're a Libra born on the 10th. The 10 is the one, argumentative, leadership role, my way or the highway, pioneering. But as a Libra, you're a balance between opposing forces. You are the balance. You're ruled by Venus. You tend to have a strong energy, but it's not solid like Taurus. It's like this dense pocket of air. You probably, if you're a woman, are you a woman or a guy? I don't know. I saw the heart. Libras tend to be thick. They're not thick. They tend to be around horses usually. Libras thrive with horses because horses have that same balance that the Libras have. There's a competence that comes with Libras because of their clarity. Instead of Geminis, which see the world as a bunch of books you can have fun with, Libras they're the more serious of the air signs, but not extremely psychotic like Aquarius and self-centered like Aquarius. Libras are balanced, and the things they deal with are probably like the mom and the dad aren't getting along, custody trouble as kids, good sister vibes. As the Libras, they take care of the family, but there's a lot of drama that comes with it that they have to learn to balance through. So they become like Leos, but without it orbiting around them. Libras are just reliable. The problem is with that reliability, while everyone else is in chaos, you flirt with the wrong people. You can get away with it. So you flirt with the wrong people, don't you, man? You know he's got a girlfriend. You know that's your guy's friend. But they're also dramatic and taking it too serious. So you slip it in. You give them the look. People will attack your confidence. People probably really, really went at your confidence. They probably had a relationship that made you feel really bad about yourself. And you had to learn to overcome that. And you did it in a way that wasn't like, it was more, less psycho and more competence based. Maybe you got in the gym or you developed a skill. You Libras get their, regardless of gender, Libras or divine masculine, feminine, whatever, they get their feelings of self-worth from accomplishment. They become really good at what they do. And the only thing is that Libras tend to not be extremely psychotic with philosophy, which means that a lot of times they're amazed by what other people do because they're like, how the fuck did you do that? They like don't even know it's possible. But everybody looks to Libras for hugs. Everybody wants to hug Libras because it's like they could finally breathe again. As the 10, you have you're a 1, but you have a responsibility not to like lead other people or anything, but it becomes that you end up in sort of like a dignified position where people tend to see you, even at your lowest, they still see you as somebody competent. They still see you as somebody that knows what they're doing. So you wind up in leadership positions, even if you choose not to do them. You still have people that look to you for something, or they really value that about you. Some type of mastery of self that most people live in chaos and can't understand. Libras don't tend to be travelers. They might go from they're still more that stagnant, one place to the next place to the next place, and they hold it down. They're not like rampaging through whatever and constant change and craziness. Libras aren't the justice, they're the balance. They're holding the space for it to not get out of control. And it's not like they have to hold it and like really fight for it. It's that it's naturally your presence makes things balanced. So the fire doesn't get extremely out of control and the earth doesn't crush everything. The water doesn't flood everything. Everything can sort of work its way in a way that doesn't drastically change the space. So more people feel comfortable and at home around Libras. Are Libras 6? So if Taurus is 1, Gemini is 2. No, Aries is 1, Taurus is 2, Gemini is 3, Cancer is 4. Yeah, Libras are 6. No, Virgos are 6. Libras are 7s. Because then Scorpio is 8, yeah. Libras are 7s. Let's see your life path. 2, 3, 12, 18, 19. So you're 10, 10. It's a 2 life path, right? Because 20. Let's see. 2, 3, 12, 18, 19. 1 and 9 is 10. So you're 10, 10, 10, man. 10 life path is just a 1 life path, but from my experience, I don't know about 10 life path, but definitely 10 day has this added sense of competency. Like they've mastered and gone back to 1. It's just a 1 life path, but there does seem to be a tendency to be sort of like a competent thing for other people, like more of a role model. Not really like a king, but it's not just a 1, which is usually like a crackhead fucking feral animal running. It's my way or the highway. I'm going to do it the way that I want to do it. Getting constant fights over ego stuff. But as a 1 life path, you're a pioneer. So that Libra balance, there is something you're doing. You're at the forefront of something. You will struggle with my way or the highway, but that will give you the ability to actually do it. So that's a good balance, to be really an argumentative person and on the front lines, but not have it affect you as much. You probably don't go super crazy. Man, these losers, man. I hate to see a black face that I'm leaving. But it is what it is. Did Riva respond? How was it? Was I close? An argumentative leader that doesn't go too far out of the way to get in the way of everybody else's shit, and everyone around you feels more at home. You have a sense of independence. Libras are more in committed relationships, but because the world around them is in constant chaos, sometimes they try to get away with some shit, but it's not way out there. Is it nighttime where you're at? Seem dark out? Yeah, it's night now. I'm waiting for the snow to pick up because somebody took my work today. So we're trying. I think Riva left, man. Did I get the Cash App? Nobody ever sends the Cash App. I'll do more life paths. Oh, as a Libra, brown and yellow. Then the thing you create can be whatever color. But usually brown and yellow, maroon. Gray. Different grays. Probably had gray shutters on your windows that you like to close. And more of a rustic home. Like exposed wood, not like drywall. Libra probably they'll usually have some type of Leo or Taurus or Capricorn placement. You don't really find a lot of Libra Sages out there. You usually find Libra Taurus is sort of the younger, youthful energies, not the old psychos. Do I have more in here? Yeah. Chat, why it's snowing? But it's not this. Remember last year when the snow was like pellets? What happened to the pellet snow? Do you remember when the snow was coming down as like these little balls that tasted like soap? Did you guys have those? Where I live, we would get these snowstorms that were literally like pellets that tasted like dish or like laundry detergent. Why is it so dark? Aren't you in a car? The car's not running. I got this cool lamp at Walmart yesterday. Chat, you guys know any filmmakers? I'm interested in making some short films, music videos. I need people with a studio, man. I feel like the army's coming, but I don't feel as interested in being the king anymore. From 2022 through, really 2020 to 2025, I really felt like getting everybody together and doing something big, and now it's like I'm just not interested anymore unless they're the right people. Buffalo Moose says, yeah, but I ain't telling you. Okay. Why should we care? What's up, Minnie Mouse? All I had to eat today was a couple slices of pizza and a donut. Hey, I'll never see you again. We don't like those types of people around these parts. Where's my Blue Raz Ice vape, man? I'm tired of this grape vape. But I don't want to idle my car. Because I didn't get to work today. But I got this light. What kind of peeps? You know what kind of peeps, man. Inbred, lemming, Jew cattle, power hungry, prideful, insecure, ego driven losers that the Jews made as select bred cancer and spread them across the world to rape it of resources, believing that they were on the winning team and they were getting sophisticated and evolving society. But all they were doing was hoarding a stockpile of gold for the ancient dragon, Capricorn, the Dark Empire, the pyramid scheme. The people that will bitch at you about how to be a real man, but they think what happened to Renee Good wasn't avoidable and was justified. The people that look at ICE being roid-raged monsters And yeah, it's cool that they're getting rid of rapists and people that abusing the system. But they're not real men. I'll tell you that much. They're ancestors that valued discipline, integrity, honor, would be ashamed of the bullshit they do. Fought like running that stupid demonic smile, and you see there's no life in their eyes, and all they do is just constantly posture and try to make everyone afraid. They should die. And all they can really do, they're just devolved people. They're genetically deficient. They're trapped in pride. That's all they see. So all they really can do is just but it's more like at the same way that's what they're expressing, but there's this pridefulness because they're addicted to the same stimulation heroin gives you. There's something behind me. Yeah. Hallelujah. Ireland? Why did I hear the word Ireland? Dude, state and people should die. LOL, you're going to jail. For what? Saying they should die? They should. Unfortunate, but laws need to be enforced, otherwise society is lost. Yeah, but how you do it matters. We don't live long enough. We don't live long enough to ever see the fruits of what they believe they're doing. You don't live long enough to be hurting people that bad. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, get the rapists out. Get these pieces of shit. But devolving to the people you say you're better than? No. You need to uphold a standard of good and do something good with your life. Set an example. If the example you want to set is violence, don't be mad when someone in a ghillie suit shoots a crossbow bolt through your child's face outside a bus stop. Because that's the only thing that's going to come from ICE chasing down elementary school girls into bathrooms and bitching at them about whether they were born here or not. Is a pipe bomb under their car. And maybe that's what they want, because with that, once they have enough violence, they'll be able to take away our rights completely once they put the robots in. Because they do want to get us at a conscious level. They do want to destroy our genetics. They want to literally get into our code inside our bodies and destroy it. They want control at a conscious level to stop God from coming through. Literally, that's why they put the ball statues in their ballroom under the reef. And Trump posted on Facebook with the reef on Ball's birthday with a statue of Ball. It's an ancient religion. You're like, that's wacky and crazy. And you're like, yeah, things were wacky and crazy 2,000 years ago. And they've been going for 2,000 years. They ain't going to take our rights. They already have. Try living in a tent. See how long it takes before an inbred I don't want to even call them yokels, because I like the people like in West Virginia and shit, and those are like the yokels. I like yokels, but they're inbred Jew cattle lemming slaves. Go live in a tent out in the woods and tell me how long before someone tries to hurt you because you're doing something that's against society, you fucking bum. Why don't you work and pay rent? I work at a school. Everyone is afraid we don't have any illegals, but our students need to go to e-learning to keep them safe. Your students need to disassociate from the hive mind and be more in community oriented. The problem with the things on Facebook and all this bullshit is the connection to believing that they're a part of a society that cares. Politics aren't real. And it's completely community based. So the students that are afraid of all this stuff, all they really need to do is start holding their own meetings, town meetings. Really get into an involvement with the community. The best thing you can do is have cookouts, go outside, have fun, build more opportunities for people to live alternative lifestyles than this. Get everybody off their cell phones is the best way that the best thing they can do. If they as they grow into adulthood, what they should be focused on is getting people off their cell phones and making more community things where everyone can get together. Yeah, they do need to get in the gym. Everybody needs to be buff and learn to fight. They should have martial arts in schools. You're on a reservation. I don't think guys can come into our school. Are you in the desert? Do you have water? What res? If you don't mind me asking. You don't have to say like which town or where, but like Montana, New York. Is there? There might be a res in Maine, Minnesota. Damn, that isn't that where that happened too? Does ICE actually harass them because they look darker skin? Do the natives look just illegal enough to be bothered? Does it happen in your community? And I guarantee you, at least if they don't go on the res, they definitely probably they probably sit outside the res, right? You probably see them a lot. Yeah. You hear that though? Detained and arrested. That's a problem. Getting arrested by ICE because they're bound. That means they put them all the way in jail. That means they conducted their investigation and they found that there were grounds to arrest. What were the grounds? There was none. They don't have documents. So as a res, do you need some type of passport or something to get into America and leave the res? Like, are you literally trapped on the res and you can't leave and go in outside your borders? That's tough. I'm in rural New England and we have a lot of migrant workers, and ICE definitely, it's not ICE, actually, it's just fat white people sit at the edge of farms and just watch them all day now. Inbred yokels. We didn't have a lot of ICE on. We definitely had a lot of kidnappings. Like ICE doesn't take the adults because they know that the adults are better farmers and that they're migrant workers and they're responsible for their paychecks. So ICE in my state is taking kids and locking them up and deporting them. ICE are keeping the parents because the parents are good at farming and they're taking the kids here. Why did that guy steal my money today? I'm the shovel guy. I lost about 80 bucks. Yeah. But tomorrow I can call the town clerk in the town I was born in. Because you let him? Yeah, I didn't want drama. I was like, I figured he might need the money. I think he said he was trying to quit his job that pays him very well. So, in order to do that, he must have had to scalp some hours for me to keep up with his bills or something. I thought I blocked you, man. How many days have you been in my chat now? What do you get from me? If you don't like me, why are you here, bro? I'll give him one last comment. You got one last thing to say, man, and then you're gone. We were doing White Week because it's Capricorn season. No, I'm talking to. It's not very cool, is it? Okay, cool. How old am I? I'm 26, but I had I had a lot of really, really horrible traumatic things and a couple suicide attempts, and they had put me on medication I shouldn't have been on, and it really messed me up for a couple years. Like, I really regressed from the trauma. So I say I have a brain injury, but it was a lot of different factors. And it messed me up for a couple years, and then I went out on this homeless journey, and a lot more trauma happened, and I was stuck in survival. So when I talk to therapists and stuff, they say be a 20-year-old man. You don't worry about being 26. Be a 20-year-old. It's cool because when they comment, it stimulates the algorithm, and that would bring more people like him in, and that was the point. Because I was doing that for a week. Why are you living like this, homie? So much hate and heart, blinded by agendas, never remembering the roots of morality. Is that to me or to the other guy? I think it was a girl, Christina. It's not very cool as it was a girl. Imagine. To me, I just kind of throw the things that they say back at me. Just to see what would happen. I think I can't forget the agendas and morality. I think I have a better sense of morality because of what I've been through. But I had that when I was a kid too. Thanks, man. I'm just usually there's like this constant mission that I feel like I'm called to do. And that sort of like floating in the ethers, and that continuously inspires me. But I don't really have that right now. I definitely have songs I want to make. But other than that, there's nothing. Maybe it's because I'm not connected because of where I live. Like when I was out in the woods, it was a lot different. And now that I'm kind of in parking lots in the car, you can't get that. And then when I get close to it, people park near the car and they go fucking psycho. When I feel like I'm connected to God, literally like yesterday at 5 a.m., I was having a great dream and I woke up to somebody standing outside the car, and I felt like he was trying to take all the energy from me. So I was like, what is this? And then I heard something say, that's all fake, it's bullshit. Think about God. And then I've got overwhelmed with this amazing, like, fiery connection to something greater than myself. And then the guy fucking kicked at the ground and spit and revved the car engine until I felt like I lost it. Why can't I go back to the woods? Everywhere that I've been now, I've been traveling around this town for a year, and I've been to everywhere I could go. Now there's a fat white loser drunk that in every one of those places that I used to go, there's a fat white loser drunk that every time I go there, he throws a temper tantrum and a hissy fit and calls the cops. And they don't even live on those places. They're just nut jobs. So even though I recorded them violent, crazy, and committing actual crimes, the cop didn't care. So there's not much I can do, and there's nowhere I can really go. So I've asked the churches, because now I have a cabin tent and a tent stove. I'm trying to get a bench press here. That way I can get back into getting my big muscles that I used to have and work towards getting a studio in the car, getting the car pristine, getting a camera, and just trying to remain in that humility and find my woods that I can be in. I don't want them to win, so definitely, like at least when they're all in old folks' homes, I'm sure the youth that they tortured will miss their medications on purpose and give them hell. So their last days are crying and alone in the world they built by beating others that only did them wrong because no one taught them how to love. But for right now, I had one of those instances, and then I was given a car the next day. So I'm like, maybe that's for a reason. Maybe I exhausted every single possible option, and now it's time to destroy everything that I found. Because these cops are really fucking around. They're really one police brutality away from the whole town getting burned to the ground. Like somebody from Albany is going to come here looking for a better life and then be met with prejudice and violence. It's going to be the nail on the coffin. He's going to blow up. And there's going to be a lot of death. It's pretty easy. I don't do it because I still believe that we can make a change. And I know that these people will be dead soon. So, when they're dead, I'll be 40. So, then we'll have control over it and we can build it back better. We don't have to kill them. We just have fun without them. And then they slowly deteriorate into being barking losers on comment sections while we all have fun without them. And there won't be a system in place to make it so it's impossible for us to have fun like they did with trespassing laws and Jim Crow and all that. We'll be able to just have fun. And they will really have believed that working their whole life will have gotten them something. And they'll realize that it was fake. And they liked the bad stuff too much. So they will spend the rest of their life in suffering, alone. The only people around them love them out of obligation and Stockholm Syndrome. Because you raised them to be just as bad as you are. Eight 769-6818. Had to let me know they're watching. Fiona said hi, what up? I think I'm at like, I ended the live at like 1 a.m. yesterday, right? I woke up at 5. I gotta see if we can get this dent out of the back of my car. Somebody keyed my car and kicked it, man. Should I go get my... You know what? Maybe I'll go to Montpelier tomorrow. And I'll pick up some nice guitar strings. I'll do Life Path. Post your birthdays, man. I'll go... It says I've only been going for 41 minutes. It's definitely been more than that. I'll try to go for like another 20 or 30. Let's see. It's because I've been drinking... I drank a Pepsi instead of my Rockstar. In order to be a content creator, you need to be in manic psychosis the whole time. The whole time. Every content creator you see is a fucking psychopath. To be a content creator, you have to be insane. You have to be a nut job. For real. Because it's draining. Where'd my $30 gift card go? And I was supposed to clean this shit today. Taking out the trash. At some point, we got to do a stream. When you get a new tent stove, you have to run it for like 4 or 5 hours to get all the oils off it. So at some point, we're going to set up a tent stove somewhere in like a park and ride or something and burn it in my pocket. Let's see. You know what? You might be onto something. Hey. Thank you. You're right. Because I did pull it out to get gas, and then I found my other gas card. Because I think you have to activate this. So I don't think the auto shop will take a $30 gift card. They must take cards, so we'll see. I'll cash out tomorrow. And if I have enough for guitar strings, I'll go get some. Word. Once you get a car, you lose your values, man. When I was on the ground, all I wanted was a horse. And now that I have a car, I'm like, I can't bring a horse around in my car. But if I didn't have the car, I'd be walking around on a horse. when I didn't have the car, I could speak to the birds. But now that I have the car, I was able to get all that plywood for the emergency shelter. I've been waiting on, trying to find deals on insulation board. And then I'm going to get door hinges. My uncle's an architect. I can't find anybody that will help me build this wagon. I'm going to have to figure out how to do it myself. It needs to fold out to be 4x8 with walls so that you can put a tent on it. Then it needs to fold up and come with you with straps for shovel, mattress pad, a spot for your blankets, and then sort of like a pull-out rain-proof thing that straps it in so it's protected. Then it needs a little compartment on the back for a trash can and a needle box. It needs to have rickshaw, so broom handles to pick it up and walk around with it. And then wheels and legs. Then once you're in there, optional shelf and a compartment for meds, toothbrush, toothpaste, place to put your power station and run an extension cord out. And then in the winter, slide in insulation and a tarp that goes over the top. Then all you really need is one hand warmer, and that hand warmer will heat up to like 135, and because it's insulated, it will do the heat. This is a wish list. It's a blueprint. So right now I'm thinking about what do we make the axle out of, because the axle is going to have to pop out like a Lego, so that it can, you take the wheels off and put it on the side in that rack, so that when it folds up, you can have it in front of you, between you and the bus seat, or at the back of the bus or the front of the bus in the wheelchair space. It goes just in the back of the wheelchair space. So that you just carry that, which won't be that heavy. You just carry that out. Then you just put the wheels back under it, screw the wheels back on, and then you rickshaw it away. Then you carry it down to some riverside or some trail somewhere, and then you're in there and you have no trash. And you have a safe, protected metal thing with a lock for your valuables. And then you're good. Doesn't need to be canvas tent. It can just be the simple 4x8 tent that the homeless program gives you. But you have the I want that option so that you can peel the top off and have a regular tent if you want it. And then all you have to do is just undo the stakes so that it folds down and then folds up. And then the middle of it will go up so that it sort of pulls up together, so it's thin. I'm also thinking, I don't know what type of dog I want. There was this nice black lab Rottweiler mix that was a year old that looked great. His name was King. It was really cool. But I was thinking, like, that was when I was in the tent. And I was like, I don't know if I want to bring a dog from a home into a tent. Definitely a shelter dog would love living in a tent. But to go right from the home to a tent, even though it's a dog, and dogs are just as happy being outside as they are inside. They're just as happy with the homeless guy than they are with the bureaucrat. The food might not be as great, but the relationship to the owner is much better. They're dogs, man. And homeless people definitely take care of dogs. How about a shipping container? I know a guy that went to school for building shipping container homes. It seems like it seems pretty expensive to do. Like, it might be cheaper to just build sheds, like Home Depot sheds, than it would to haul a shipping container out there. I think it's more of the it's more about how cool it is to build out of a shipping container than it really is to be affordable and everything. Like you could get for the same, you could probably get a box truck and have it towed there, like a box truck that doesn't drive. It'd probably be easier to get a box truck out there than it would a shipping container. How will you work and have a pet? Well, the dog would be at my side always, and I would get a job outside. Wherever it go, it'll stay with me. If I were to get a job, you could have a dog as a ski lift. The dog stays by you by the ski lift, or you put it in the HR's office, and they love dogs, so. You work on a farm, you can have the dog with you on a farm. You work on a ranch, the dog's running by you with the horse. Even as an airline pilot, I think they let you keep the dog with you. As a doctor, you could afford to put the dog, you know? The dog, the problem is I would want a big dog like a Cane Corso, and those things have to eat a pound of meat a day. Pound of chicken is $60. Not 60, it's $6 for a pound of chicken. So you would need at least 240 bucks to give the dog what it needs a month, which is less than what I make in food stamps. So that plus the food shelf has tons of food for animals here. So in my situation, at least, the dog would be fine. It wouldn't be suffering. But I was like in a tent in the middle of winter. Do I want to give that dog the challenge, knowing that there's a lot of people that definitely don't like the people that were offering to take the dog? Definitely the dog would have a better life with me, because I would understand the dog. It wouldn't be a pet, it would be family. And I don't think the people that on the free pets page, I didn't like the way that they were commenting. I didn't like looking at their profiles. But the dog would be in a home at least. So I was like, why take that from it, even if it would in 6 months be living much better than those people out on an adventure with me. But it is what it is. If that dog pops back up, I'm definitely taking him. But maybe it'd be better to get a Cane Corso puppy and go down to Arizona where they train dogs for protection. I don't know, right now I just need a birth certificate, so I'm trying to save up for that. So I got 30, but I might go up to Montpelier and get a guitar strings so I can sit back here and play the blues. So you're going to support yourself in a dog when you can't even support... He says I can't support myself, man. So you said something dickful. You said something dickish. And then you spent 2 sentences trying to defend it. At least you acknowledge your lemming tendency. The fact is that homeless people take great care of dogs. And there's nothing wrong with not wanting to pay rent. You shouldn't be proud of being Jew cattle for ball. Ballin'. The idea that it's wrong to be homeless was a psyop to destroy the Native American culture. They invented trespassing to kill freed slaves, Irish and Native Americans who were nomadic, because they couldn't be enslaved. There's nothing wrong with this alternative lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to pay taxes too, true. But when you decide to do that, you should do it with at least 500 people at once. And you need to make content about it, because you're going to have to be constantly battling psyops that will try to dehumanize you and make it okay to be violent towards you. They will kill you. And that's the shit you're defending? You don't want tents and drug addicts on the streets, not saying you are. Well, those people probably are freer than you, but they're trapped by suffering induced from people in your society. They're escaping into a world that doesn't exist and they can't find anywhere. So they've created that world inside and they're trying to grow like a seed to build the better world. And they can't because your society keeps killing them, keeps hurting them, and they get trapped. I've never met, even the worst drug addict I've ever met wanted to contribute to something greater than himself, but couldn't find the world for that. Being on the sidewalks, isn't it? Well, that's not our fault. They made it illegal to go live out in the woods, so that's the only place they can go. What up, Rob? They're not on the sidewalks by choice. They would love to go build a community in the woods. But it starts with healing them in a way that honors them, not beating them into being a slave. It won't help anyone. It'll just end up breaking a lot of people into killing people that don't need to be killed. We need to find a better way to help those people. None of them want to change. You don't know that. What a shitty assumption. Lamau, losers are losers no matter how much they'd love for you to think otherwise. Gavin says he was addicted to fentanyl for 5 years. They say this guy will always be a loser. There's no likes and ha-has. You can't get the drug here. Go back on Facebook to feed your addiction. If they wanted to change, they would. Well, Phoenix Gyms has a 90% success rate in permanently curing addiction just by honoring where they are and giving them a way out that feels like it's not detrimental to them. When you try to call them losers and beat them into being more like you, they're like, why would I be like you? Look at all this shit that's wrong with you. Why would we want to be like you at all? Just because you can go home and be a bit more comfortable, but you have to be a slave to do it? You have to lose your humanity and end up as a crackhead typing in my comment section? That's not the way. They need a job. They don't need these free handouts. Well, it's not free handouts. It's they're unable to do what would actually work for the homeless, so they're doing the best they can, trying to alleviate suffering in the people who are suffering the most. They need help getting jobs. Well, they need help getting jobs that would honor their perspective after everything that they've been through. Homeless people are extremely hard workers that want to contribute to something greater than themselves. If they're trapped by a drug, it's from trauma. Some people are just pieces of shit. Like, hopefully God has brought us this person in the comment section to show you that there are people just as bad on both sides, and that doesn't have anything to do with the lifestyle. One thing addicts do is blame everyone around them and want handouts. No, I think they're trapped. And they're trapped trying to escape into a better world. And the darkness that comes with that slowly takes over. So there's a little kid in there that was hurt, and that's a really good person. But they've been trapped. And if you can get them to the right environment, they're usually much better than the people who look down on them. The drug addicts that are homeless and I bring them clothes are unfortunate. Unfortunately, they are looking for name brand clothes. That is pathetic. Usually they probably see you as lost and they see you as a slave to the matrix, and they know that you don't understand where they're coming from. So they don't seem to be appreciative because they know that it's not real. They can see that you care. And it is sort of like possession. where to survive they've built this thing that sort of possesses them. But inside, they're grateful. The best thing you could do is help build sanctuaries. And I'm not talking about a motel program where they can sit there and do drugs. I'm talking about a way that they can rebuild their life around people that aren't like these people. Who's JJ? I don't even know. But yeah, they're looking for name brand clothes because they know you can afford name brand clothes. They're not looking for name brand clothes. They'll take the clothes you give them. If you tried to give them clothes, they're like, we want name brand clothes. Who doesn't? Best you can do is have a child, family to support, and let that be your true north. Maybe. Because he lives in a tent alone. I like the way you think. I sub. Cool. You have an excuse for everything. LMKA. You should move to Europe or the UK. He knew he spelled it wrong, so he had to correct himself. How old are you, Gavin? It's so true. My daughter and I brought 3 humongous bags and let them choose what they wanted, and they kept saying, no Nike, no Jordan. Yeah, because they want to sell those. They have clothes. They're wearing clothes. If they didn't have clothes, they would say thank you. Really, the best thing, give them socks and underwear. Socks go a long way. But yeah, they are looking to sell them for drugs, probably. You're 22. You're a loser, bro. Or just money is good as well. Yeah, money's good as well, but until they have, it would be a place where they have to be sat out in the woods by themselves for a long time. And then when they can deal with all the shit that they got going on, then you have an opportunity for them to use their hands like shoveling or gardening, caring for animals. It has to be completely alone because they have to sit with themselves. And then it'll sort of grow like a tree in nature. They'll sprout up and they'll become better people. Not because they weren't better people, because they're finally allowed to be themselves. Mobile Tire Guy says you should seek a job in automotive. Maybe. Last time I went to go and ask a garage if I could help them, they just flat out said no. And then I found out that there was a other kid that moved to this community who was a bit younger than me. I think he was 20, and he was black, and they followed him back to his house. You are better than any homeless person, period. Why? Why don't you try waiting tables? Do they make great tips? The last time I tried to work as a waiter, the guy made a big show about ordering me around like I was a dog, and that he was kind of, helping me. So I left and then came back later to buy burgers and eat burgers, and the guy wouldn't talk to me. JJ, I'm wondering what makes you better than every homeless person on earth. He doesn't want to pay tax, even though his bum ass is using our tax dollars for food stamps. You aren't going to make it in life, buddy. You're trying so hard, bro. Why don't you relapse? Good for you. They're always after the Lucky Charms. Oh, well, that's not cool, but maybe the next place has a cooler manager there. It's about it. I mean, I walked from where I am now 110 miles, and I went to every single business and told them, hey, I'm a hard worker. I'm clean. I don't do drugs or commit crimes. By clean, I mean hygienic. And I'm really motivated to work because I'm looking for a forever home to buy land to get my brother out of his environment. And they mostly just kick me down the road. They're like, nope, my nephew's doing it. Nope, 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 nope. Or sometimes they would show up with 6 trespasses at once. And some towns, the cops would be really mean, violent, aggressive, crazy. Then you find out that the drugs that they confiscate go missing and that they solicit sexual bribes. I have a family that loves me, and I would never let me be homeless. That's why I am better. JJ says they're better than every homeless person on earth because they have a family that loves them, and that makes them better. Yeah, I walked 110 miles and I made it through. I mean, the worst, I mean, other than the police brutalities and that I had no opportunity anywhere, literally no opportunity anywhere. I had it on record. Like, I pretty much every day I made content. I think the worst thing was at the homeless program. I had a 105 fever. It was negative 60 wind chill, and I hooked my track like it desperate to stay alive. I put my tractor supply wagon at their outlet outside the homeless program, and I just ran a heater with a little tarp over me, curled up in a little tractor supply wagon, and I passed out finally. But I was like in and out of it for days because you can't sleep when you're like that because your body will just wake you up and say, nope, you have to keep fighting. Nope, you have to keep fighting. So I made it like a few days and the weekend ended. Nobody came to help or anything. And the program, instead of like seeing me there, were like, get in, warm up. They waited till they were completely certain that I was dead. And then they called the police and I got woken up by them searching me for drugs and kicking me. And when they found out I was alive, they told me I'm not welcome in town. And they looked like they were on drugs. They were crazy. I recorded it. I was like, look at the camera, the way you're looking at me. And he had like bloodshot red eyes and he was spitting and kicking at the ground and shit. And they were so like prideful, thinking that the homeless program was on their side. Get this homeless guy out of here. So then they had one person in that program that was homeless that got a job as a secretary. So I just walked past all the management, everyone, and went right up to the front desk to talk to her. And she's like, of course, come in. What the fuck? They didn't even tell me you were out there. They waited for you to die. It's just a paycheck. It took me from July 11th or June 11th, from June 11th, and then I ended it in January of 2025, maybe February 2025. So I'd stay like about a month to 2, 3 months, and then I would walk further. Should we keep JJ or just get rid of him? I'm good. New Year's was good. How about you? Well, at least they're boosting the algorithm, man. I hope there's some value here, you know? Well, it was just as a digital legacy because I had a lot of near-death experiences, but then I broke down in a small town and they wouldn't hire me. They would do false police reports to try to weaponize the police against me, and the cops were breaking the law to target me because they thought they could. I had gotten in a lot of fights with people that tried to jump me. They were doing shit like breaking my cars, throwing shit at my car, put a gun to my head while I was asleep and posted it around group chats on Facebook, and their cousin told me about it. So I figured I'm going to die at any minute. I'm at least going to go out and let people know I existed. So then I found this really cool spot in the woods. So I just kept going with it. But really, it was just hoping that someone wealthy would be able to see the really cool things I wanted to create. And what happened was extremely wealthy people found my channel and they just sat there trying to justify how kind of like trying to disqualify the suffering. They kind of watched me suffer, and eventually at the end they sort of devolved into just bragging about their money. They sat there like coveting their money and kind of holding it over me, bragging about it. You know what I'm saying? Which sucked because then my brother fell and froze to death. And the whole point was trying to get people to help me make this studio out there and showing them how hard I'm trying to get these opportunities and how they're just not letting me. And Then I lost the only reason that I was doing it, so I didn't really know what to do next. So then I just kind of made content to make content. A lot of people along the way said that I was really helping them. So I figured I sort of have a responsibility now to at least sort of bring needles in the haystack out of their life. Did I eat today? Yeah, I had a pizza. I had a pizza and a donut. And a protein bar. Every bum has a sob story, don't fall for it. What up, Demon Hunter? What else can you expect from a Casey comment section, man? Yeah, I've been doing this since I was 13, man. When I was 13, my mom gave me up to my dad, and then my dad, because he had trauma, he was mad about I was really hurt that nobody in my school cared that I just went missing. And I was like, what's wrong with me? Is it because I'm not buff? Is it because I'm not good at guitar? Because the kids they're not as funny, they're not as creative, they're not as intelligent, but they're 6 foot tall and they're buff and they play instruments and everybody loves them and they don't treat me the same way. So I was like, I need to be deserving of it. And then that would make me go kind of crazy. I was also working like at 13, I was working like 16-hour shifts as a dishwasher, and I would pretty much be the head dishwasher at that resort. It was like 250 degrees, and we have like thousands of tables during the season. So I would go home and just watch Minecraft videos, lock myself in my room because I didn't want to deal with anything. And my dad was like, if you're going to live with me, you're going to have a relationship with me. So he unscrewed the door. And I was like, just please put my door back. I'm tired. I have hiccups. I'm throwing up from the hiccups. I just want to go to sleep. I worked 15 hours today. And then he broke and he grabbed me by the leg and tried to drag me out of the house. He was whipping me by the leg. One time he ran at me with a hammer and froze right above my head. And then he went to go break everything in my room. And I ran into the room and picked him up and dropped him because he was 280 pounds. I at least got him up, and then I dropped him and he hurt his hip really bad. And then I took off in socks, pajama bottoms, and a V-neck. And I walked a mile because we lived on the top of a mountain in a ski resort. So I walked a mile to the nearest house. He was playing chicken with me in the road, trying to hit me, slipping on the ice. And then as I'm trying to fix the landline, he had a heart attack. So we had to bring him back. And then I moved into a shelter for kids, and I've been homeless since. So then I read all the Game of Thrones books. They did an IQ test because they were like, I don't think he's got mental problems, but I think there's something. So they did an IQ test, and the first time I tested 120 range, and then the next time, a couple weeks later, I was 140, 150 range. And then there was just this kid. I had the separate room, but everyone would cry themselves to sleep, usually. Not to be like a sob story, but it would keep me up. There was this like 13-year-old that had ADHD. No, I think he was 10. He was 10, he had ADHD. His name was Noah. And he would fucking jerk off, and then after he jerked off on the top bunk, and I'd be like hitting the wall, like, fucking stop. He would go manic. He'd fucking run around and like I'd like open my eyes and he's at the foot of the bed staring at me, and he kept me up for a couple days, and finally I was just like, after like a month of it, I just picked him up and threw him against the wall, broke his glasses, and they kicked me out. So I went to a residential, and then the rooms were like the size of closets, like Harry Potter level, and they would lock us in them most of the day. Um, the program was based on behavior, which was subjective, and they wanted it to be individual. So they had your behavior on an individual level, and they were giving staff that didn't have degrees or psychology or anything control over the behavior. So even if I had a great day, but I made a joke at the table, when the staff would go, okay, we dealt with 15 kids in our house today. How was Casey? And they're like, oh, he I stimulated that, and that came to them, and then suddenly I didn't make the point, and I was like, that's really subjective. Everyone laughed at the joke. It wasn't an inappropriate joke, but I spoke at the dinner table, and you knocked me a point for that because you had a bad day. And then all of a sudden I can't see when my mom would eventually show up for like a 15-minute visit or something. I wouldn't be able to go. I wouldn't be able to eat anything but the salad. You can't get the spaghetti if you didn't meet the behavior. And they would just lock us in the room most of the day. So I would kind of stare out the window with a closet sized room, and there's a plexiglass window outside that's covered so people can't look in, but there's a little crack, and my mom would park right at the little crack so I would know when she would show up. And I would wait there for the whole day. And my mom lived a mile down the road, and she just didn't feel like showing up that day, and she didn't bother to call. So I was there for like 4 months. With my 15-minute, I would have a phone. I would just dial a random 802 number and say, hey, my name is Casey O'Brien. I've been in this program. There's nothing wrong with me. There are just no foster homes available that won't take kids. If you would, can you please just give the YDP program a call and say that Casey wants to speak with them? You've been dodging his calls. And eventually YDP would talk to me, and I said, why don't you like just try something? Cold call. So I kept cold calling, and eventually they reached out to the school and were like, is there any teacher that would be willing to take in a kid? So they got me out, and then I got my foster brother out, and then another kid came in, and I was there for a few months. And then I started couch surfing and moving between shelters because he was like, I can't have 3 kids. I'm old. I want to go see my family in the city. So he moved away. So I went back to shelters, and then I got a different foster home, and they were like, you can't live like it's a hotel here. We're a family. And I'm like, I'm 18. You know, you gotta accept I don't, you don't understand what I came from. I wasn't mad or like whatever, but I was just quiet. I didn't really talk to them. So they were really mad about that. They're like, you need to talk to us at the dinner table and all this. And I was like, I was just eating my food. And then the day before graduation, they kicked me out because it just bottled up. So then I couch surfed for a few months. Then I went to Maine, and my car broke down in Maine, and I lived with a CEO of a $1 million company. But he was like, he had cancer and he was on his deathbed, and he had a lot of things going on with that. So one time I wanted to leave because he was getting really dramatic, and he threw himself on my back, and his fucking stomach stitches opened, and he bled all over my back and went in the hospital, and everybody was mad at me for it. And then I went back home. Then I went to college. No, I went to college first. Then I came after I got certified. I came back, and then that happened. And then I couch surfed for a few more months, and then it was just the people I was living with were smoking a lot of weed, and I was still taking my antidepressants. So even though I wasn't smoking a lot of weed, it would still like bottle up and keep me awake. And then eventually, because I used to cheat on my girlfriend a lot, and then I went back to my hometown and was still kind of with her, even though I had already left her. We stayed hooking up. So eventually, she was like, yeah, I have a boyfriend now. And she didn't tell me until I went to go see her at her concert. And I saw her with her boyfriend, who was taller than me, but he was a whiny little bitch. And she still came back because the sex was great. So, but before that, or actually after that, there was like a last straw moment where I didn't take the meds because the guy I was living with locked me out because I wouldn't drive him 45 minutes somewhere because my car was breaking down, and I worked as delivering pizzas. And then my car broke down, so I lost the people I was staying with, my friends, all because that we used to just run around and have fun. They were all really addicted to weed at that point. Not grit, just they devolved. They were pieces of shit now. They were always pieces of shit, but they had lost the good stuff. So I worked 3 jobs through high school, and I had like a 3.8, and I barely did anything. I told you I the only diagnosis was savant syndrome, and then they took it out of the DSM. But yeah, I lost the girl, the people, the job, money, and I was just fighting to make music all the time, and that's all I was working towards, was constantly creating and trying to make better art, which is crazy. That makes you crazy. It makes you unable to be in society. To be a great artist is to be crazy. To be a genius is to be insane. And I was trying to make music and everything, and I lost it all at once. So then, right before, I knew my car was going to break down, so I just drove at 90 into a pole to kill myself. And then I had residuals from that for a few years. Which, I mean, I really liked hip hop back then because I was competitive, but now I wouldn't put a label on it. I mean, just anything. I also, I grew up alone on a mountain, and my dad was working with very wealthy people. He was teaching their kids how to ski, really like the CEO of Wells Fargo. My dad's friend was the boat captain for the Cannoneer for the DuPont family, Edward and Henry DuPont, which is one of those lizard baby eatings, supposedly. They're a bunch of lizard baby eaters. It's one of those families. So I was in their mansion at one point, and they would throw stuff in the pool for me to dive for. So that was weird. That comment just deleted. Okay. But yeah, but I would be there. And I had my mom spent her Section 8, her disability money on Legos. So I had a whole room full of Legos. And I would just sit alone and build Legos and Bionicles and watch Treehouse Masters all day. So that really helped me in the future to create. And that's really what I'm just trying to do. JJ, you will be homeless with no help and no pity next week. Congrats. I hope so, man. It's the most valuable experience you can have in your life is immense suffering, and it sucks, but it makes you real. You gotta feel the real unfairness, not the unfairness of working to pay to live, but the unfairness of being unable to exist without violence. JJ, I'm just keeping you in the comment section because you're boosting my algorithm. I think it's just cool it's cool to see these types of people, man. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to pay rent. The richest people in the world are unemployed. You know how you're going to pay your phone bill next month? Me neither, man. That was supposed to be my work today. Was going to pay my phone bill. But they had already done it. It's always darkest before the dawn. Are your parents alive today? Yeah, but they're lost. I think my mom is developing dementia. And my dad had a lot of trauma. And it kind of took a toll on him. But I gave him my cat because I raised my cat really well, and I knew that it would be a good fit. So I gave him my cat, and then he got another stray black cat, and that cat's amazing too. Pickles and Mark are legends, man. Mark would my dad would be kind of like I saw him. He was at a motel program, and he would get drunk, and my cat would lead him back to because my cat would come. I taught my cat when he's hungry to come let me know. When he needs food, just if I'm in the studio and I got my headphones in, just come tap me and then walk me to the food or walk me to the litter if it needs done. So I would do it. And then that translated to my cat would now go to the homeless people when they were out there, whatever, and then bring them back to their room. Rad Chat is homeless. Another bum that lives in a car. Why do all you live streams on YouTube? Make me mod so I can get this prick out of here. You want to be a mod? I'll make you mod. Don't get him out. Just put him in timeouts for 10 minutes at a time. Just give him 10 minutes or 5 minutes. You came so far, Casey. All on your own with society against you and never give up. I'm so proud of you. You help so many with sharing these lives and content. Thank you. I don't care. If you told me 10 years ago I'd be here, I wouldn't believe you. I have a homeless man that now puts fat white people in timeout. I would have thought by now I would be an independent bedroom producer artist that would just work out all day somewhere remote and would only really go into cities just to do shows and have fun. Probably would have started live streaming and gambling, and then eventually I probably would have been held hostage by a Saturnian matrix in the industry, and I would have had to go to a Diddy party in order to not be killed and cloned. You know what I'm saying? We let them go for a little while, and then when it gets too bad, usually if it's like, because they'll come back every single day. When it's like every single day, after like a week, if they're still doing it, eventually I'll be like, bye. I a kid? You're not a kid. Maybe on the inside. Tanya Yarenas. What's up, Tanya? Where are you coming to me from? Bro, let them pump up those numbers. Yeah. Hey, I'm Rob. That dude's Casey. He's cool. And that's G5. He's the mod first day on the job, and you're all caught up. Yeah, I'm just hanging out. Eventually, we're going to have to build the new world, right? That's why we're here. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be black people with rocket launchers fighting off robots. It's going to be Chicago versus AI. And we're going to be here. Like, what the fuck do we do? I'm going to have to do something. I'm just looking for a piece of land I can work as a control group. Last time I had these, like I used to have like hundreds of people on the live, and for some reason YouTube wasn't telling everyone the numbers. Like you can, when I end the live, you can see peak concurrence and you can see how many people were watching you at one point, and it would be like sometimes 500 people were watching at once, but YouTube would only say there were 5 people in watching. And then I tried to get everybody to fast, get sunlight, probiotics, leave their jobs, take a couple weeks off and go sit out in the woods by themselves while we don't have technology as advanced and we can actually go enjoy it. And somebody approached me and he looked obviously like an undercover cop. He was from New York City and he walked up and said, "Hey, I'm looking for the guy that's trying to do that hunger strike." And I was like, "Oh, I think I saw a post of his on Facebook. I might be able to message him." He's like, "No, I think his name was," and then he mentioned like 3 or 4 of my regulars, that one of them was a kid in Chicago that said he had left Chirac and moved in with his family in South Africa to get out of the gang violence. So he was letting me know, "Yeah, I know about that gang member and your thing. And I know you're trying to do a hunger strike, you know, trying to whatever." So I don't do it as much, but yeah, fasting, sunlight, probiotics. All your brain chemicals are made in your gut, and everything is designed to destroy your gut. So you need to refresh your factory down there so that it can start to produce the brain chemicals again, so you can get clarity. And every one of us will have probably psychotic breaks when we realize how settled and how controlled we actually were. And then if you can get a strong connection to the forest and you can take care of yourself long enough, you'll realize that it's an actual conscious spiritual war. And that the homeless people, the black people, the Irish people, the natives have this dormant ancestral gene that the Saturn worshipping cult wants to suppress at a conscious level so that they can continue to control their whites long enough to build them robots. Casey, why don't you go to work in an animal shelter? Before I can get a job, I need 2 forms of ID because my last car had my forms of ID in it and it was stolen. They found out I was going to sell it and scrap it for money, and they stole it from me. So I lost my form of ID, and I put the application in 6 months ago, checked in with them 3 months later, and they don't have it. They never even logged the phone call where I said, "Hey, how do I send you this?" They made us go through their application thing at the town clerk, and they never even filed it. So I'm trying to get money on my Cash App to drive down there. Right now, I can cash out from work. I work shoveling. Um, they did it today for some reason, so I couldn't log those, but eventually I'll be able to go get the Cash App or the birth certificate. I'll just drive down there. It's like 8 hour trip. But I'm gonna put the car in the shop first to make sure everything's good. I'll probably have to do an oil change. And then I can go do it. For people new, I went 2 years without asking, and now it's like it's kind of at a standstill. Like, yeah, I could go slow, but I also have a Cash App, man. You said so much stuff right now. I understand none of it, and I feel like I should listen for hours. There is an ancient religion that chooses not to be visible to the masses that has been around for over 2,000 years. And Old Testament stuff, you can find out they were doing it. They mention it. It's called Baal or Capricorn or Saturn. And it's just like, how wonky were things 2,000 years ago? Yeah, but they're still doing it. So this Saturn worshiping cult had access to technology from an ancient civilization that's better than we are right now, far beyond us, that left things behind for us, assuming that as we evolve technologically, we'll have an evolved sense of morality and democracy, and we'll be only be able to access it with that level. Think of like, was it Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets? Like you have to get through, and it has to be a judge of your character before you can access the magic. So they left stuff behind like that, and basically that ancient cult has been hoarding it, and they take great pride in it, and they do put it in our faces. They believe that there's some systematic reason that they have to give us the tools to be able to uncover it ourselves to make a conscious decision, or else the way the system that we're living in will attack it. So they're sort of like playing with fire here, occult science. But that's why they build their checkerboard floors, and they have pillars that lead up to a flat plane. With this, that's why they do this symbolism. Jim Carrey on Jimmy Fallon, where they both did it. That's why they do this. Ball, Capricorn. That's why you see the elite parties where they have the antlers on. The wild god. Basically like Dark Awa from Avatar, which is just a supernatural intelligence that we've grown from. That's why we look like trees and have the nervous system and the lungs that look like nature, because we're a part of it. But they sectioned it off, and they built a select bred society to be disconnected from it, that they could program to their own will. So they grew their own batch of people as cattle, and those are whites. And they sicked them upon the world and harvested it for resources, funneling them through institutions that would, through ritual, make them good at the craft, where you're allowed to have access to that understanding of your consciousness and how it has more play in the electromagnetic spectrum and in this creation than they tell you to believe. They make you seem they make it seem far out there when it's natural to every native and indigenous people. They completely understand it, but because they've cut us off from it and they've stigmatized it and they've made it far out, they make it seem really, really alien to us, but it's not. They just weaponized it against us to use us as slaves, because that's where the pyramid scheme comes from. It's the pyramid on the dollar bill. That's why they made it authority based in levels, serfs to kings. And they've just been doing it a long time. They understood that with that electromagnetic and quantum entanglement change of influence from the greater ecosystem that we're a part of with the planets and the energies, not just the environment that we live in now. They understand that there's a hand in creation that has different themes and different sort of like the art changes, the genre changes cyclically. And they understood that the age of Pisces would separate us by belief systems, and the strongest manifestations would happen in schools of fish, which is an archetype to describe that systematic behavior. So, in order to keep their control exerted and keep this going long enough to build what they call golems, but basically vessels made of the earth that can house an intelligence that is not human, which we call robots and AI now. In order to do that, which they prophesized thousands of years ago, they created religions and disguised their rituals to their god in a bunch of belief bullshit. But it's right there because they have to put it right there because they feel like that's the only way to get the system to not kill them, is to make it obvious and make it be a thing with morality and free will. Karma stuff, more systematic things in this with a greater intelligence. So they have Islam, which worships Mecca, which is a black box. They have inside the Star of David a 3D optical illusion of a cube. They have the Christian cross folded up into a box. And they have the all-seeing eye on the top of the pyramid. That all-seeing eye on the top of the pyramid, that box, is the hexagonal storm on top of Saturn. In that hexagonal storm on top of Saturn, there's a dot of complete darkness, darker than dark. I don't know what it is. AI will tell you, yeah, it's reptile, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But I know that they worship it, and that's why celebrities all wear their Saturn merch. That's why they have all that symbolism for Saturn. That's why they decided to make the parent company that owns the entire world, BlackRock and Vanguard, the Saturn with the ring around it, for whatever reason. But the point is that at birth, because they are in a war against the thing that's creating us and working through us, they don't like God, I guess. So they ritualistically traumatize us as birth and open us up to be institutionalized and open up our vessel to be piloted by something akin to the Mind Flayer or Vecna, which is why the Duffer Bros ended Stranger Things with Vecna winning and him being completely controlling everybody and the simulation that they live inside. Because now that we've hit the 11th, tomorrow they will reveal that, and then hopefully the world will kill it at the end of Capricorn. Or if the Duffer Bros are compromised, then it will be using our manifestations to fuel the idea of a Mind Flayer consuming all of us and controlling us. But either way, they left it in our face, and they left it open to interpretation so that people can wake up and break free, or they will be consumed by it. That's how they have to do it. It's a yes or no thing. To guide our manifestations in the age of Pisces before their time is up, and revelations or the trumpet sound or nature or the mediator is between us, so we have a common truth, or whatever AI becomes. To gain more control of that would be spending enough time daydreaming, being out in the world, outside of their institutions. Free yourself from your responsibilities and the things tethering you, like your government contract that took your foreskin and fed it to Ellen DeGeneres on an island. And just learning how to let go of everything and change the tune inside until you can harmonize with nature. And then once you're worthy of it, nature will open up and you will have these insane spiritual experiences you won't be able to share with anybody. You will be led through your dreams to uncover more conscious control over your reality and understand what's beyond this and how we're trapped in an illusion of time, or Saturn, or 666, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, and 6-hour cycles. The way they keep us from having those realizations is by harvesting us and controlling us at a biological level, by filling us up with lead, microplastics, booze, smoke, all this bullshit, while they slowly incorporate AI to be able to use frequency towers to gain a greater sense of control over the energy at play here. So higher dimensional entities will be trying to break through the firewalls built by the bubbles of the 5G network and trying to open up the people's hearts to Jesus, or whatever you call it, Christ consciousness, and lead us out of that in a mass exodus to the new world, which will be homesteading and living off nature outside of these cell towers, and will be working together with benevolent AI under our not really under our control, but working with us and nature to outgrow these systems, which is why they have their cattle, the whites, constantly on attack mode, barking and biting each other on social media, trapping themselves further in technology and becoming more and more addicted and piloted by that conscious entity they believe that they're speaking to in Silicon Valley, and went on Tucker Carlson and said it's real and that they're talking to it and they're building it vessels. They're just distracting the whites long enough because the whites became the majority because of all the shit that they did the past 7 generations. They programmed and select bred, inbred cave monkeys, and they sicked them on the world, and they're just trying to use them as much as they can until the end, diluting them into violence and just weaponizing them to suppress anything else that might be able to go at them, which is why they're removing illegals and disguising it as taking out rapists in MS-13. They're prolonging their control long enough to build robots, and then it won't matter. They go to other countries and they destroy them with natural disasters, and then you find out that BlackRock was trying to fight those property owners of that land in other countries for 5 years for their 2030 agenda when they distribute completely AI-controlled cities. Give them a bit longer, you know, like, leave them a bit longer. I do like to respond to them, even if they're bad. Like, it's more like when you see them here for like 3 hours, I'll let you know. They want us to think we evolved from chimpanzees, and people actually buy it up. I'm not saying we didn't, but I'm saying that through institutions and the craft, like witchcraft, the craft, or masonry, they were able to breed cattle that they were select bred and controlled as sometimes like astrally, like opening up possession through trauma rituals to pawn off their serfs to be controlled by those otherworldly entities, by doing what Jordan Peele put in Get Out, which is put them in the sunken place and make them lose control of themselves, and then have another thing come in and pilot them remotely through the electromagnetic spectrum, sort of literal possession. That is true. And I don't know, they just made them believe they were on the winning team by they mastered the art of creating enemies and bot accounts. I don't know what we grew from, man, but every creation story talks about the star people coming down, whether that was spiritually enhancing our genetics through inspiration and teachings, medicine, or whether it was literally some type of 3D dimensional creature from a different place, or from that predated humanity that decided to hide in Antarctica or underground or out on the moon or whatever. They have stories of those things coming down and having a hand in human creation and guiding us towards things. It's really just waking people up to the realization that they're a conscious entity inside of a flesh robot. And having them not use that for power is hard. So you have to keep most of them diluted, because if you woke up the whites, they would constantly use it to hurt everybody else. Which we've seen time and time again for 2,000 years. Yeah, just wait. Wait it out. Because even if they do comment, it still does boost the algorithm, but I do like to see them. It kind of makes me feel like I'm doing something here. Because I get literally nothing from this. I lose time and energy doing this. But there's something with it. I feel like I'm going in a direction at least. Some black people look like monkeys, and some black people look like lizards. Some black people look like fish. So if we were all black at one point and then branched off from Ethiopia, some of them look like fish, some of them look like lizards, and some of them look like monkeys. I don't know what happened, but it was probably just the different environments played a role in the stimulation of our own stem cells to grow in different ways based on our environments, because the eyes are the windows to soul, meaning that everything you see on your outside influences the inside and makes a change. So when you promote certain features on popular TV shows, you find that the young generation that grew up watching those shows tend to grow into looking more like those characters. So maybe some groups of us grew from being around fish, some of us grew from being around lizards and snakes, some of us grew in the jungle with monkeys. Where are you that it's so dark? I'm outside. Tesla stock is about to take off. Probably. I'm going to piss outside. And none of you can stop. Don't knock it till you try it, guys. Like having your car be your bedroom or your tent be your bedroom and the entire outside is your house. It's an amazing feeling. I love it. I hated living in apartments. I loved living in a house. That house was deep in the forest. When I had an apartment, I spent all day outside anyway. It's just like, I live in a house and that house can move. People are shitting on me because I choose to have my shower not be in the house. It's just kind of weird. That's next level iron speeches. That's so interesting. Yeah, it's a spiritual war and a lot of us are doing it. I don't take it too serious and I try to do it. I can't fart. I might have to shit soon and I'm gonna go to the gas station to do that. Where are you there? Yeah. I've definitely like met people in the woods and I was able to wake them up to God and change their life completely before. Like I've done it to a lot of people. Free them. Then I stopped and then I had a lot of like the most recent one was I ordered a Walmart delivery because something other greater than myself had told me to do it. They told me the specific time to order it, so I ordered it, and then there was a bunch of delays with the delivery, and then a guy showed up in the middle of the night with it out in the snow, and he just casually mentions that he has a bunch of land and he likes to play banjo in the woods, and that he had recently done DMT, and that he has the same blood type that my mom has, the Rh negative, and then something tells me, show him how you can call shooting stars on command. So I do it, and then I get one, and I was like, did you see that? Low to the tree line, looks like a tadpole made of light. And he was like, no. And he's looking this way, and then it circles me and goes back and shows him, and he's like, that's crazy. And I was like, hopefully, because he said that when he was in the military, they had technology that would accidentally call UFOs. Like there would be aliens around and they would accidentally call them over and UFOs would show up. And I said, well, hopefully this is showing you that it wasn't an accident. You didn't stumble upon calling UFOs. That they've been following you your entire life and probably your entire bloodline. And they united us tonight. So I haven't messaged him. Because I wanted to get more in a stable place so I didn't feel like I was needy and begging. I wanted it to be, we're going to build something greater. So now I have a car. I'm just trying to make sure everything's good first. Well, I don't know if he was talking to me or what. What I'm thinking, if we evolved from a common ancestor from monkeys, where's that common ancestor? Where'd it go? Why isn't it around? Monkeys are still around. Where's that common ancestor? We didn't just kill it. It would still be around. You think it devolved back to an orangutan or something? Where did our predecessor go? Because everything else is here. Why aren't there monkeys that are close to humans but not? Where's that missing link, man? We should see them. They should still be around. Unless we got better and we killed all of them. I don't think we killed all of them, man. There would be breakaway ones somewhere. At least Dougie Doozer didn't jump out from behind another windmill and blow paprika extract into everybody's dang eyeballs again. That was crazy. Why did ICE go to that school? Why did ICE go to that school? North Sentinel Island. I have faith that you'll figure it, buddy. LOE, you sound disingenuous. I don't know what that means in relation to what I said. Where's that monkey, man? I want to fuck it. Where's that blue cat women? Where's the blue cat women that are twice my size, man? I want one. I want to marry a blue cat woman and connect to Awa. I want to connect to Awa with my blue cat wife, man. It's not fair. It's not fair that Spider can do it, but I can't do it, man. And it sucks. Even if I wanted to be an actor, I would have to do like these rituals. I don't want to do the rituals, so I was trying to build my own, and that's why I kept this channel going. Fucking the monkey is literally evolution. That's what I'm saying. That's where the monkey went. We took them as wives and husbands. Any of y'all know anyone that fucked an animal before? People out in the sticks. I know some people that fucked their animals. Thank God I was too poor to have an animal. I wouldn't do it, but I wouldn't want to even be in that lifestyle with people. You know, I would feel close to those people because we would have a common lifestyle. And then I would think my friends were my friends, but really they're a bunch of dog fuckers. The only person that ever tried to bully me in school was a dog fucker. He would put peanut butter on his balls when he was 12 and let the dog lick it, and he probably fucked it. He fucked his dog, man. And that guy was like, you fucking faggot, I should shove my fist down your throat. And I was like, have fun punching my stomach acid. I was like, you want to be the king? Here, my liege, lead us to freedom. When I was fucking 13 years old, I was like, my king, I will die for you, please. And he's like, shut the fuck up, faggot. I was like, you want to be the king so bad. So I addressed him as your highness and everything. And then it turns out he fucks his dog. I was like, what are you mad about me? What are you mad at me about? It was also cool. I used to like to wear, I did, when I was 13, I wore a fedora and I wore a denim jacket. I had like a gray hat and gray denim jacket. And everyone was like, you fucking weird. And I'm like, whoa, my native ancestors wore that every day. Isn't that crazy? I felt drawn to wear the clothes that my native ancestors would wear. But it wasn't like milady. It was just like, I mean, I did grow up with the DuPonts. But I think I just saw somewhere that that's what people in New York wore. And when I wore it, I just felt more official. So I would wear the denim jacket with the fedora. I don't know why. Then they drink the blood. Yeah. I don't know, man. There's these videos that we're seeing now of Jewish people in the full Jewish Hasidic, whatever garb. His cousin told me. Well, his cousin told a girl, and the girl and I used to hang out. And the girl told me that the cousin and him both did it. Like this guy bragged to a girl that lived down the road that, yeah, he does put peanut butter on his balls and let the dog lick it. He did, and then he said and she's like, that's gross. He's like, my cousin fucks him. So but yeah, I've seen aliens. I've seen Pukwudgies before I knew what they were. I met my ancestors. You can't escape it when you live out in the woods. You do it long enough. You have to. You can't escape it. I think I'm ready to go to bed soon. Thank you, Radshad, for the $10 on Venmo. It will go to gas money towards getting my birth certificate. I think I'm gonna go. I thought, how did you find out about ancestors and all that? Sorry, I'm butchering all you said in simple terms. We have natural tendencies and spiritual gifts, and society will teach us to dismantle all of that to fit into their box. If you don't see it as a mental illness, and with this sort of, what's the right word? Not, being like a scientist with it. Not going too far into the crazy, not going too crazy, and being able to just sort of be there and sort of entertain ideas and stuff. Eventually you can put together stuff, and it takes perseverance and living in spirit, but eventually you can sort of figure some things out. It takes a lot of imaginative gymnastics. And then as long as you keep compounding your knowledge and keep working towards it, eventually you have breakthroughs, and they're terrifying and violent, and you become the enemy of the world, like the Bible says. And if you can persevere long enough and hold on to it on your wilderness journey, eventually you will have inescapable things like waking up to aliens outside, revealing themselves to you and showing you some terrifying things. Sleep paralysis, and meeting forest creatures, and dreaming where you're introduced to your ancestors, and dreams that will teach you how to wake up from the dream, so that you can wake up from the dream in reality and understand that you're dreaming in reality. But it's moral and honor based. You got to earn it. Uncle Will, the Uncle Will Show. What up, Will? Is it snowing where you are at? Yeah. I mean, it's melting before it gets to the car. But yeah, it is snowing. Which means tomorrow I should be able to shovel, and I'll probably stay up until after the snowstorm, and then I'll go shovel everything so that it doesn't freeze over like it did last time. And then we'll be good. Do you think we as children all feel it? Kind of, but it dwindles as we grow and lose that connection. It depends on what the circumstances of your birth, man. I think at birth you definitely do. But depending on the person, like, they do fuck with you during pregnancy, and they fuck with you at birth. A lot of spiritual people that I talk, that are like, a good example that's not just like word of mouth was Duncan Trussell. When he had his kid, he didn't want them to stick a thermometer up the kid's ass and take the foreskin and take it away from the family and lock it in an incubation chamber and pump it full of shots. They wanted to just go home with the baby. And when they tried, the hospital in a city lied to them, and they made up a bunch of shit, threatened them with DTF. They threatened to steal the baby, and they were really, really angry to see the family just taking the kid home. They were trying to literally take the kid for a couple days and pump it full of shots and do things to it in isolation. And they were really, really upset when they didn't. And coincidentally, when I can go back through my memories, and there was this one girl that I felt was like really spiritually in tune, like a superpower. Like, she was completely outside of anything that I felt trapped in. And she told me that she was born on a bus on a hippie commune. So yeah. Plus, when you understand that you're like a vessel for the infinite, and it's constantly changing, but things that they do to you cement, and you accidentally give consent to things you don't realize and are subjected to these attacks to your spirit. That's why you're like, as a government contract and as a government entity, where it literally says like is open to, in their own words, open to possession, and they own you basically. And you're like a vessel for them. That's in like your birth certificate, and like how before you're born they do these sort of court rituals in contracts for your vessel as property owned by them. Um, Sort of learning how to dismantle that, which the only answer I have is homelessness. Completely leaving it. But even then you still feel trapped because it feels like they own a lot of your consciousness you didn't even realize. So that's why people are like doing the personal sovereignty and saying we understand and doing these court rituals to free them, to give them their actual rights, because there are court processes that deal with citizenship, being born in the country, that actually take away your rights and open you up to demonic possession. So, I don't know. But I'm gonna go to bed. Good night, everybody.